Yeah, 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 yeah. Uh, Shake it, but keep pointing out all the lies. Putting the scripture right in your eyes. The Bible guy. He reads Hebrew and Greek and shows you that your book's not unique. The Bible guy. He turns through the pages until every Christian rages. The Bible guy. Watch one time and you're hooked. Now let's watch why the Christians get cooked. The Bible guy.
Howdy, howdy, folks. Bible Guy here, coming at you live from Northeast Texas. Everyone, make sure you are tapping that screen. Share the live with those you love, with those you hate, with your friends and with your enemies. Let's get the word out there so we can have some interesting conversations. And it looks like literally right off the bat, it looks like we already have a guest for today's show. Let me pull them up. We got here probably just text prediction 1. Text prediction. I'm going to ask you 3 preliminary questions and then we'll get to the conversation. Are you at least 18 years old?
I am 18. We've spoken before.
Oh, okay. Just so I can get a reminder for myself. And what pronouns do you go by?
He, him.
And theist or atheist?
Atheist. I just wanted to share a joke real quick, if you don't mind.
Yes, go ahead.
What region of Syria do Christians originate from?
What region?
Damascus.
Oh my God. Oh wait a minute, here, let me get this for you. Oh wait, no, wrong one. Fantastic. All right,
well, enjoy the show. I'll be watching.
All right, you have a good day. All right, there we go. All right, we're gonna bring up the next guest, J Chemist 5. J Chemist, I'm gonna ask you the same 3 preliminary questions. Are you at least 18?
I'm still giggling at the joke. Yes, I'm over 18.
And what pronouns do you go by?
He, him.
And theist or atheist?
I'm an atheist too. I just had a quick question. You know, I enjoy listening to you talk to the theist, but my question is more so related to like biblical time. Well, I won't even necessarily just say biblical timelines, like even some of the extra biblical information that we may or may not have about the Bible. I'm wondering like how historians have gone about dating any of the proposed texts from the first century. And when I'm mostly talking about, I'm talking about Paul and Mark, and like why are those to be trusted, those dates?
Generally, it's going to be based on like when do we believe that the Apostle Paul most likely lived, and from his own writings, he tells us that he converts, and then 15 years later, he goes to meet the disciples. So there's at least like a 15-year gap there, and we know that he was probably crucified sometime in the 50s CE. So that gives us a rough estimate for when to date his epistles specifically.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I'm mostly curious about, because like first of all, like so the ask here for me, from my perspective, is like, just with any author, with any historian, I think we need an ability to vet those authors, right? To vet them for their authenticity and whether or not they are truthful, or if they just not a fucking liar. They could be a liar, right? The people lie, people tell fiction as if it's factual all the time, right? So like I guess what I'm looking for here on the Gospels or on the Paul on the epistles, like how would we know for sure, because we don't have any of the actual text, right? That this guy was being truthful. Like I'm not even talking about necessarily the supernatural claims, because those are going to be difficult for me to ever believe anyway. I'm mostly just talking about the things that he says happened. Like, do we have any like anything in addition to those letters? I'm sorry, I'm long-winded.
Like on the mundane claims that he makes?
Like just on any like naturalist, like do we know anything other than, what he has to say and we're supposed to just take his word for it?
I mean, yeah, we don't have any indication that he's lying to us, so we would have to have like a good reason. When it comes to like his just mundane claims, like, yeah, I was a persecutor of Christians and, I converted because I had like some sort of visionary experience. Like, I don't have any reason to like question him on that, at least.
Okay. I'll be honest with you. My New Year's resolution was to kind of explore some of this, like from a timeline perspective. Like I've been an atheist, so like I'm just trying to talk to people who clearly are more knowledgeable on the subject than I, to see if like maybe I'm missing something, or because like
There's
clearly
a
I'm very skeptical on it.
there's a book that I would suggest for you. I read it quite some time ago, and in that book they do go into like the dating and timing of at least the authentic Pauline epistles, and
Mhm,
that book is called, here, let me bring it up on the screen for you to see.
mhm.
Open image in new tab. All right, let's see. There we go. There we go. Okay. It's called The Authentic Letters of Paul, a new reading of, let me make sure everyone on YouTube can see it too. A new reading of Paul's rhetoric and meaning. And this is done by, like, these are like actual, these are not like religious people who are trying to defend Paul. They actually go into detail as to why it is we can't really like take the Acts of the Apostles as true history, and how Paul actually contradicts the Act of the Apostles, and then they go into detail about how we can go about like figuring out when certain letters were written and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely grab it. Yep, that'll be useful. I do appreciate it. That's all I got. I just wanted some direction. Like I said, I do enjoy watching you and Justin on the deconstruction zone. So appreciate you pointing me in a direction. Thanks.
All right, have a wonderful day, bud.
Take care, man.
All right, let's see who is next. We got Savvy World. Savvy World, I'm going to ask you the preliminary questions. Are you at least 18?
Yep,
And what pronouns do you go by?
I'm a man. I'm a him.
Him. Okay. And then are you a Christian?
Yes.
All right. I'm Dalton, the Bible guy. Which one of the 7 questions on the board would you like to give me an answer for?
The easiest one I think is God good?
Is God good?
And I would say yes, he's the standard.
Why do you think God is good?
Yes, he's the standard of goodness.
Why do you think that?
Because he is the creator. We are the creation. So he is the standard.
But what is that? Why does that make him the standard for goodness specifically?
So and just play along with me if you don't mind. Do you have a favorite musician?
Sure.
Can you think of their
Sabrina Carpenter?
Okay, and what's your favorite song of hers?
Probably like Man-Child is definitely up there, and I can't remember the name of the other song, but it's one I discovered when I first discovered her. But we'll go with Man-Child for now.
Yeah, we go with Man-Child. So I would assume because this is one of your favorite artists and that's one of your favorite songs of her, that song hits you a specific way. It makes you feel a certain way.
Sure.
Now I could venture to say there are some vocalists out there who have studied the voice and studied sound and language even, that would say she could have hit this note in this spot, or she could have done this or done that to make it better. But
better is subjective though when it comes to music.
Exactly. And the standard is what she actually did. And because it does resonate with people,
Sabrina Carpenter is not the standard for good music though.
No. The creation that she created is the standard. So she's the creator.
The standard for what? The standard for what?
Yep. So she's the creator. What she did in her creation was good.
Subjectively.
And it is.
Subjectively, I like her music. Yes.
Well, no. The reason that I'm making the comparison of objectively is because.
But it's not objective. Music being good or bad isn't objective.
Okay, yeah, you're comparing that song with all the other songs in the world. What I'm saying is, what that song is its own creation. Okay, let's say there's no other songs in the whole world to compare it to.
So the only song that exists is Man-Child
by Sabrina Carpenter, I believe.
All right.
Yep,
that's the only song that exists.
Okay, so there's no other songs to compare it to. So anytime somebody says it could have been done this way or that way, it's like that's what's subjective. The only thing that is objectively true is how it was created.
So when you use the word, are we still talking about morals
No, not
or
morals.
goodness?
We're talking about what
do you think that
goodness
word?
means.
What do you think the word? Can you define for me what the word good means? Because I have my own definition.
Yeah, I would say good is, mm, I mean, without looking it up, like something that is, yeah. I mean, it plays a different part in different things, but I assume we're
Would
speaking of
would you like
morality here.
would you like to hear my definition for good?
Yeah.
Good means that something is beneficial towards towards a particular goal that's been set. So
Okay.
something
Yeah.
being good
Yeah,
or
I'll agree with
bad
that.
is determined based on whatever it is your goal is.
Yep. And using that definition, her goal was to do what she did, which is
Okay.
why she was able to release it, or
And
why she wanted to release it,
and
because
my
she felt
goal
like she
is
accomplished her
fairness.
goal.
My goal is fairness and well-being. Do you think God achieves that goal?
Well, so again, let's go back to the definition of good.
Yeah,
Good is
yeah.
what is
Beneficial towards the specific goal. So the
right.
question is, what is the
So
goal?
your goal, if your goal is not aligned with his goal,
Mhm.
then how can you make the comparison?
Yeah,
That's why I brought up the song analogy,
yeah, I can
because it's
just
like,
I can
yeah,
look
somebody.
I can look at his
Oh, go ahead.
actions and I can see whether or not his actions are
His actions.
beneficial towards the goal of fairness and well-being, and that's how I would determine if someone is good or not.
You think God's goal of humanity was fairness and well-being?
No, that's my goal, and whether or not he meets that goal or not will determine for me whether or not God is good or bad.
Oh, so you're asking, is God good to your standard?
Yeah, because I'm the one who's I'm the moral agent who's trying to make the judgment. When I come across a person and I have to determine whether or not that person is good or bad, I have a goal, I have a standard, and if they meet that standard, then they're good. If they don't, then they're bad.
You do realize your standard has changed over the years, correct?
Yeah,
So who's to say in
as I've
another 20
become,
years your standard doesn't change again?
yeah, if I
So
get
if
new
God
inf-
meets your
if I
goal
get
now, does
if I
he
get
have to meet?
if I get
If
new
God
info
meets your
if
goal,
if I get new
it's kind
information,
of lag. Sorry.
yeah, if
Go
I get
ahead.
new information that will change my particular stance, then sure.
So
I would
does
just
God
need
have to
it.
meet your goal now and then?
Yeah, he has to reach my goal now at the very least. If he wants me to consider him good, then
So
he
what
needs
if
to
your
do
goal
things which are.
changes?
If it changes,
What
then
if your what if your
then the standard would change.
So God has to. Okay, what about the other 8 billion people in the world? Is God supposed to meet everybody's goal of good?
Luckily for me, the majority of people
That
have
was
the
a
same
direct question, though.
Yeah, I'm directly answering. Luckily for me, the majority of people on this planet have the same goal as me, being
What
fairness
about the
and
people that
well-being.
don't?
Oh, to hell with them. I don't
What
care.
about the people? So God has to meet your goal,
If he
and the
wants
people
me
who
to,
agree with you.
yeah,
He
if
has
you
to
want,
meet your goal, but
yes,
not
if
everybody
you want,
else's.
if you want to convince me, because that's what this is about, convincing me that God is good.
No, it was about, is God good?
Yeah, if you want to convince it, what does it say above the questions in the gold lettering?
Oh, it's kind of hidden. Go. Okay, I see it. Convince me.
Convince me. And if you want to convince me that God is good, well, does God do things which I would consider good? In other words, does he do things which are beneficial towards the fairness and well-being of individuals? Or does he do things that are detrimental to fairness and well-being? If there's a different standard, the question is, why should I hold to that standard?
Because that standard doesn't change. Yours does.
No, it does. God's standard does change. Have you not read the Bible?
God's standards does not change. I
Really?
have read the Bible up to
Slavery,
Luke.
good or bad?
I'm in Luke right now.
Slavery, good or bad?
Slavery. That's a nuance. Slavery can be good.
Whoa,
It can
dude.
be slavery can be very beneficial to somebody.
No, okay, no. Is it beneficial to the slave?
Yes, it can be beneficial to the slave.
If you go out and you buy a person, this is not. I'm talking about debt slavery.
Slaves weren't always bought.
I'm not talking about debt
In the
slave.
Bible,
no, Savvy, listen.
In the Bible, there were
Savvy,
people
listen.
that went into slavery.
Savvy, listen. I'm not talking about debt slaves. I'm talking about going out and buying somebody from someone else and owning them as property for their whole
Buying
life,
it from
so
somebody
much that you
else?
can even pass them on to your kids as an inheritance. Is that good or bad?
That's again nuanced question. It can be good.
And
Meaning,
under what condition is
let me
being able
let
to
me.
buy a person as property good?
Yep. Okay. So again, they weren't all slaves in the Bible were not bought
I'm not asking.
from somebody else.
I'm not asking about indentured servitude. I'm asking
That's not what I'm
specific.
suggesting.
I'm asking
let me finish.
specifically
That's not what I'm
about slaves
suggesting.
that are bought. Is that good or bad?
Slaves that are bought again can be good, and I'll give you an example of that,
Sure,
and then
give me an
I'll go on to
example.
expound on what I was saying initially. So again, if you are living in a area where a civilization where there are 30 miles of people all together in a wall, bound by walls, and you have no land in this civilization, you have no animals, no means of working, and then you somebody, well, I mean, that's why I said they're not all bought.
I'm talking about, what about people who are born into slavery, and then you go
Yeah,
out and
so-
you buy those slaves?
Yeah, again, so in the Hebrew tradition, these people are not like
Watch
like
out.
you have a responsibility. No, I mean, I'm very secure in what I'm saying because it's truth. You have a responsibility to these people to take care of them.
Oh, no.
They become
Here,
yes,
yes,
they become your responsibility.
Can you beat your slaves so long as they don't die after 2 or 3 days?
Eye for an eye, meaning if you do that, your
Yes or
punishment will
no?
be
No.
and maintain them.
No.
And
The book of
maintain
Exodus.
them. No.
The book of Exodus says explicitly that there is no
You're kind of cutting
punishment.
me off. You asked me a question,
Here,
and then
I'm
you
gonna have
answered it.
you. I'm gonna have you read.
You asked
this.
me a question, then you answered it yourself.
Yeah, because you gave the wrong answer. So Exodus,
I didn't get to answer it.
Exodus chapter. Oh, my bad. Let me just fix this real quick because that got fucked up. There we go. Exodus chapter 21, verses 20 through 21. When a slave owner strikes a male or female slave with a rod, and the slave dies immediately, the owner shall be punished. But it's important. But if the slave survives a day or two, there is no punishment. What does no punishment mean?
So this is taken out of context. That means you should not be smited, or you should not be stoned to death, to unalivement.
Is there a punishment?
But yes, there is a punishment.
So no punishment does. So
can I answer your question?
So to be clear,
How many questions are you gonna ask me that I can't
answer? So to be
answer?
clear, no punishment means there is a punishment.
Yes, there still is a quote unquote punishment. The punishment is your slave can be taken from you.
So no
punishment.
So just so we're clear, guys,
would you consider that? Would you consider that a
So
punishment?
chat, as we've just learned, the words "no punishment" actually means yes, there is a punishment.
So again, this is terms of the time.
If I said to you,
when it was brought to the judge,
Savvy, if I said that you get
Okay,
no
I'll
ass,
let you talk.
if you get no ass, does that mean you get some ass?
Can I answer?
Yeah. Do you get some ass if I say you get no ass?
Again, you have to understand the relevance of the text.
Yeah. All I said
Because
is
it does go on.
What does the word "no" mean?
That's not how it is being.
Yeah, that is how it is. What does the word "no"
portrayed.
mean? What does the word "no" mean?
So hold on, let me ask you a question. Since you asked me a bunch of questions.
No, you get to answer my question. What does the word "no" mean?
Can't your slave be taken from you
if I say that this person has no cancer in them, does that mean they have cancer?
No, they do not. By our westernized understanding of words and usage of words.
Are you telling me that in Israel, if I went to Israel over in the East and said, this person has no cancer, that they would understand it to mean that they have cancer?
In 2000 BCE, it could mean that they are undergoing. I mean,
okay, if I go to ancient Israel and I say this person owns no livestock, and they have, does that mean they have? Does this mean they have livestock?
Is this analogous?
No,
and the reason I can prove
I can prove
to you it's analogous.
Again, if in ancient Israel, if a person says this person owns no livestock, does that mean they have livestock?
Can I tell you why it's disanalogous? Or are you
No,
just
you can
gonna
answer the
keep
question.
rip? If they say they have no livestock, they have no livestock. Now,
All
can I
right.
tell you why
Now,
that's
this person
disingenuous?
has
I mean,
this person
disanalogous
is given no punishment. Does that mean they get punishment?
is disanalogous.
It's
Their
not.
punishment, their can I speak for 2 seconds? Or are
You
you gonna
can,
just cut me
yeah,
off?
try to twist it, bud. Go on, pretzel yourself. Do it.
Sure. So again, punishment is what is brought to and given by the judge of the time. And of course, at that time, it was Moses. The punishment would be stoning, but there were consequences to these actions. That's all I'm saying.
Is
Just
a
because
consequence a
the
punishment?
punishment, not in this terms, that's my whole point. In what they are portraying, the consequences and punishment are a distinction. The distinction is the punishment is, the unaliving. I'm trying to be TikTok friendly, but it's the unaliving. The consequences or repercussions can be a multitude of things.
Here,
Meaning,
I'll go back and
your slaves are taken and given to
I
another.
guess I'll
Oh,
go
go
back
on.
and read and see where it says that
So
when
wait, do
a
you
slave.
disagree with what I just said?
Yeah, I do disagree. When a slave owner strikes
So
a
so
male
they
or
didn't say.
female slave with a rod and the slave dies immediately, owner shall be punished. Does it say what the punishment is there? No. All right.
Stoning.
Well, where does it say that?
You have to go on.
You have to go on. When people who are
Keep
fighting,
reading.
I'll read verse 22. When people who are fighting injure a pregnant woman, so that there is a miscarriage and yet no further harm follows. This isn't about slaves. The one responsible shall be fined what the woman's husband demands, paying as much as the judge determines. If any harm follows, then you shall give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, stripe for stripe. All right, now what?
So let's not just skip over that.
Yeah, where was the
Eye
slave?
for eye, tooth for tooth.
Whoa, where were slaves mentioned in this passage?
Right, the verse you read prior.
No. Where in this is a new law. This is talking about when the case law presented is when people who are fighting injure a pregnant woman. Where's the slave mentioned?
I don't have the Bible in front of me.
Here, I'll read it out here. I'll read the verses again. And you tell me when you hear slaves are brought up. Okay. When people who are fighting injure a pregnant woman.
It's a lot. There are a lot of slave laws and a lot of different laws in which.
Anyways, I'll just keep reading. You tell me when the word slavery gets brought up. When people who are fighting injure a pregnant woman, so if there is a miscarriage, and yet no further harm follows.
In this verse.
Oh, okay, so this has nothing to do with slaves. Fantastic.
So what I'm saying is, when you read again, now what? So when you read Exodus as a whole, there are a multitude of things you can and cannot do with your slaves. The repercussions.
Yeah, you can't beat them where they die immediately. That's clear.
Do you know what out of context means?
Yeah, that's what Christians do when they don't actually know the context. They cry for context when in fact the context doesn't add to the conversation whatsoever. So we call it on this channel. We call it clamor pro contextu, the cry for context, the Christian tactic.
Okay, so you do understand why they say, you shouldn't beat your slaves?
No, you shouldn't beat them to death immediately. You can beat them.
But no, you cannot beat them. And
yes,
there's a reason as to why you should not beat them. It's because they are your money is the term.
They're your property,
used.
Which is why you can beat them because they're your property.
Can I take
a baseball bat?
You're not tracking.
Could an ancient Israelite, let's say an ancient Israelite has a cart? Is the ancient Israelite allowed to destroy their own cart? No one can hear you talking while I'm talking.
Nobody can hear you talking while I'm talking.
Actually, I can make that so I'll just mute you until I get to ask the question. So when an ancient Israelite has a cart, which is their own property, are they allowed to do whatever they want with their cart? Can they take a stick and knock off pieces of their cart if they want to? Because it's their property. You said they're not allowed to beat them because they're property. the cart is also property.
I
Are
did
they
not
also
say
not
they're not
allowed?
allowed to. You're trying to control the conversation.
No, that's
You're,
exactly
and
what
you're
you said.
misrepresenting me.
I
I
didn't
said they
misrepresent
should
you.
not. I said they should not. Not they cannot.
Where does it say you should not beat your
In
slave?
Exodus, it says you should not because they are your money.
No, it says you can because they're your money. Let me read it again. But if the slave survives a day or two, survives after what? Savvy. Survives after what?
Bro, I'm listening. Go on.
No, that was a question. If the slave survives
You
a day
haven't
or
answered
two,
not one of my questions.
survives from what? Don't run away. It's fine. It's okay. If the
I'm not
slave
running away. We
survives,
are. I think
here, if you can
everybody
answer
is
it, maybe my
understanding what
audience,
you're
maybe
saying.
my audience can answer. Audience, when it says that the slave survives a day or two, what is the slave surviving from? Let's see. Someone will answer it. I'll see if someone's listening. You know, after a beating from their owner, correct. A beating, abuse, correct. All right. So, but if the slave survives a day or two from the beating, okay, there is no punishment, for the slave is the owner's property. So yes, you actually can beat them because they are your property. You just can't kill them immediately.
So again, should you refrain from that because now you're losing money?
No, there's
Or
nothing.
you're-
How are you losing money? The slave is only like at best it'll like be in its it'll be out for a couple days, but after that, if it gets
I
back
thought
to
you
work,
just said you had to pay. I thought you just said you had to pay for it, all slaves.
no,
So in
well,
this
no,
world where all
no,
slaves
the
are
slave
paid for and
survives.
not going
No,
to servitude.
no, the slave survives.
Bro, all you do is talk over me. Go
No,
on.
Savvy, you're not listening. The slave survives.
So if I have a PS4 and I hit it with a bat, have I not taken a loss?
Can a PS4 heal?
It could be rebuilt.
No, can it like naturally on its own just heal? If you let it sit in bed for a couple days, can it heal from its wounds?
It could be rebuilt.
No, not can it be rebuilt. Listen closely. Don't answer the
What's
question.
the difference?
Don't answer
What's
the
the
question.
difference if it could be
Don't answer the question that. Don't answer the question
the
you
question
want
is
me to
renewal.
answer. No. Don't answer the question you want me to ask you. Answer the question I actually asked you. If I
Bro, you haven't answered
if I beat my PS4 up, in my case a PS5, because you know, I ain't stuck in the Stone Ages. If I take my PS5 and I take a bat to it, and then I like tuck it in bed, you know, and then leave for 2 days and come back, is my PS5 gonna have healed from its injuries without me having to do any physical work? Yes or no, Savvy?
What does this have to do with is God good?
Yes or no? Will the PS5
All
heal
the
from its
semantics are playing.
wounds? It's not semantics. Yeah, he's terrified. He's
Yes,
terrified.
yes, I'm
Yes or no, Savvy? Will the
Yes.
PS5 heal from its wound? It
no,
will.
the PS5 will not heal. I thought you
Okay,
was
if I
speaking of
if I beat my slave and then send them off to bed after 2 days, will they heal?
potentially.
Oh, potentially. All right. In other words, like it's not the same as beating up your PS5.
Because as long as they're still alive, they will heal. Human
Not-
beings,
not
when they're
necessarily.
damaged, they
Not
heal.
necessarily.
As long as they're still alive, yeah. If they're still alive, their body has the potential to heal,
The
and it almost always
potential does not
does.
necessitate
Depends
they
how
will
bad.
heal.
Depends how bad the injuries are.
If I whip my slave on his back, you saying he won't heal from that?
A whip is more skin on the skin layer. Yes, those heal
Yeah, that's a beating.
often, but not necessarily
Alright.
not to complete renewal. People
Even
that have been whipped have scars for the rest of
I don't care if they have scars. Well, I care if they have scars, but you know the Israelites wouldn't care if they had scars. The
Yes,
fact of the
they
matter is
would
that they
care.
can. No, they wouldn't care. Slaves were second
Why
class
would they not
citizens
care?
because they're just property.
They were not second class citizens.
Yes, they
Oh,
are. They're property.
You have a poor understanding of the time period.
No,
you say you're
you
a
have a
Bible
poor-
guy. Do you understand how?
Savvy? You don't get to sit here and tell me I have a poor understanding
you
of the time
understand how-
when I know the Bible better than you, Savvy. It's embarrassing, Savvy. Stop doing this to yourself.
They never learn.
That's why the reason you
They
have to
help
mute
us.
me is because you have no conviction.
Oh no, I have to
Thank you.
mute because you're just a yapaholic. You just yap, and you don't answer my questions. That's why
I'm a yapaholic, but
like Savvy. I don't normally
I'm
have
not
to.
even a.
I don't even have to do this with all my guests. Like the fact that I have to do it with you is like the problem is you, Savvy. I don't have to mute all my guests. I have plenty of guests that come on here and I know I have to hit the yap stopper even once because other guests, unlike Savvy, like to answer questions. They don't like to interrupt, and Savvy, and they're not cowards like Savvy is. So the reason why this is not good, Savvy, and why God isn't good is because he allows for all of this, which in slavery is bad. There is no condition in which owning a person as owning a person as a property is ever acceptable, and being able to beat them.
Being
Right,
able to
there's a
beat them.
little bit of
Okay,
lag.
so again, if I go to Los Angeles, downtown LA, and I go to Skid Row and pick somebody off the street and provide shelter for them and
Are they your
provide food
property?
for them every day.
Are they your
Can I
property?
finish my
Are
question?
they your property?
You see, that's why you have to mute me, because you don't
Are
allow
they
me to
your
finish.
property?
You just want to control the conversation.
they
You don't
your
want to have a real
property?
conversation.
Are they your property?
If I sign an agreement with them for them to say that they are my property in exchange for shelter,
Can they quit?
food. Oh my goodness gracious.
Can they quit?
Can I finish or no?
No, can they finish? The person you're hiring on, can they quit their job and leave?
After I finish my analogy, I'll land the plane quickly.
No,
And I'll include
no.
passing them on to my children.
No.
How about that? I'll include passing them on to my children.
Are they property?
I just want to understand.
Are they property?
Yes, they're my property. No, they
Can they-
cannot quit.
Okay, then that's illegal. You'll go to jail.
Okay, but I'm just trying to prove to you how slavery can be good. So I get this person.
That's not good. It's
I provide-
illegal.
Okay, yeah, let's say it's illegal, but it's not okay. But it is still inherently good for this person. They are living on Skid Row.
No,
They
it's not
are.
good. You could just
Sure.
You could just
If
you could just hire this person as an employee.
you have no experience.
Without owning them as property and without holding them against their will. And you can go, hey, you can come and you can work for me by your own free will. And if you ever want to leave the job, you can just leave. But owning them as property and not letting them leave is not good.
Which the Bible does
Can-
say. It says
Can
that
I
if
explain
you're
how it's good and then you refute it, or are you just gonna take everything out of context like you do with the Bible?
Yes,
This is the same thing you do when you read the
Tell
Bible.
me how holding a person against their will is good.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. So I take them off the street. I sign a contract with them stating you are giving me reservation to your person. I own you.
That's bad.
1 second. I provide a shelter for this person. I provide food for this person every day.
Could you do that
clothing,
without owning
water.
them? Could you do all this without owning
You
them?
notice how you can't let me finish?
Could you do this
You
without
can't.
owning them
You-
as property?
You are not able to let me finish
I don't
because I will
care.
prove how it is good.
I don't care. Could you
How it
do
is good for
no,
that
no,
person.
No, because could you do
Yes,
all
I
this
could do it without owning them. Yes.
Okay,
yes.
then
Now,
owning
can
them
I
is
finish?
bad. Owning them is bad.
It's
Now
not
continue.
bad.
It is.
Yeah. So yeah, there's another possibility where I pay them for their labor and I let them go back into the world and then they go spend it on drugs or smugs or whatever
That's
and
their
they're back in their
choice.
position.
That's their choice.
Yeah, that
But
is their choice.
But it's not.
But
you
that's
could-
a possibility,
but you don't-
correct?
you-
Is that a
you-
possibility?
Yeah, that's a possible. After you let them go from slavery,
Is that a yes
they-
or no possibility?
Yeah. Guess what? After you let them go from slavery, they can still do the fucking same thing, dude. They can leave you and
We
then go
just
buy
said
drugs.
we're not gonna let them go. We just said we're not gonna let them go.
Oh, then you're just you're ripping
I'm gonna
someone's
pass them
freedom.
on to my children.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna pass them on
bad.
to my
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, freedom over servitude any other day. Would you like to be in that? Would you like to be held against your will? If
You notice how you cannot let me finish? You can't,
like Savvy, you've never let
because I would listen.
Savvy. I'm showing you what it's like for every woman that's ever been with you. Like you've never let them finish. So like I'm doing the same thing to you now. Now you could just
No conviction.
you could just hire someone and then tell them, hey, you can leave whenever you want, but as long as you like work for me, you can have a house. I'll provide for you. You wouldn't have to own a single person. The fact that you're bending over, I mean, it's really quite sad because like from what I can tell from looking at you, are you
You
African?
can't let me finish.
Are you African American?
Obviously.
So that's probably the saddest part about this is that like
Yeah.
Oh, you know what it's like.
No, it's really sad that it's really sad that so much has happened in this country that has resulted in the
By who?
abolition
Wait, by whose ancestors?
of slavery and for
Wait, whose
like
ancestors?
and giving black people rights in this country. And then all that's happened just so that in the big 2026, you can sit here and defend slavery. It really breaks my heart that this is what religion does to people.
And the Bible even talks about, like, if a Hebrew man goes to another and he's so poor that he needs some kind of help, then he won't be a slave to that other Israelite that he's asking help from. They'll just take him as like a hired laborer, and he'll get paid and fed for his work. Like, there are ways that even the Bible tells you there are ways.
Yes, I
around actual
acknowledge that there
slavery.
are other possibilities.
There
I
you go. So
acknowledge that,
slavery is
but
bad and unnecessary.
I'm just trying to say slavery is not inherently
It
bad.
is.
It's
See,
what
Savvy,
was
see, I think
what was
that this is going to be probably the
what was
end of
done in
this, but like Savvy, this is the biggest problem with religion, is that it has hollowed you out and has taken away every bit of you that was once like human, and is like it has really like hollowed you out of all your humanity. And that is, I want everyone to take a look at Savvy and let Savvy be an example to you of like what is in store for you if you like decide you want to become a Christian. If you want to retain your empathy and your humanity, then I would suggest not going down the path that Savvy has gone. But Savvy, I've quite had enough of your slavery apologetics. It's disgusting, and I won't have it.
Hey Dalton, how you doing? Sorry I interrupted you a minute ago. I was trying to tell you something, but my thing was lagging, so I thought you were finished speaking. You weren't. That's my fault. I was just gonna talk about the actually I don't remember what it was now. I think it was about what the Bible says, and there is a way around slavery. You could just hire somebody and pay them that way. You don't have to have somebody as a slave. So
yeah, there is no necessity. It's not a necessary. By the way, Savvy's whole thing, like I just pointed out, Savvy's whole thing is that it's not necessary for you to own them as property and to hold them. Savvy could have just as easily hired this individual and gave them all the same benefits. The only reason he didn't want to do that is because in this analogy, Savvy wants to own this person as property, and that is not okay. That is disgusting.
And it is really sad that this is an African American man who is in favor of slavery, even though the Africans and the African Americans were enslaved in the 1800s. It was chattel slavery, and it's absolutely astonishing that an African American man in 2026 will be in favor of slavery. It's absurd. It demonstrates how religion rots the brain, and people like Savvy really advocate against their own religion.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking for sure. Okay, we have some super chats, and then hopefully we'll get an interlocutor who wants to come in who's not morally bankrupt, and also not someone I don't have to constantly like mute up on all the time. Anyways, let's see. There we go.
At Zach Patrioff with the $5. If no punishment means punishment, then it makes sense why Christians think not fulfilling prophecy is fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, guys, also, if no punishment equals punishment, does that mean that punishment equals no punishment? In which case, if I'm being punished for my sins in the afterlife, does that mean I receive no punishment for my sins in the afterlife? Just a thought. And
At Optimus Rhymes with the $1.99. So he's okay with slavery as long as there's rules. Autobots, roll out.
I just say because the Optimus thing. Yeah, it's crazy because like slavery, like would he be okay with the antebellum slavery of the South? Because antebellum slavery of the South also had rules and laws. You weren't allowed it was against the law to murder your slave in the South. That doesn't mean that it didn't happen. And the same is probably true with ancient Israel. They had laws against murdering your slaves. Doesn't mean that Israelites weren't murdering their slaves and law keepers were not like turning a blind eye to it. But like the only difference, guys, between the slavery of the Bible and the slavery of the antebellum South is that one was racially based, while in the other one, anyone could be a slave. That's the only difference.
Yeah. I actually live in the South. I live in Mississippi, and this state has a long history of slavery. So
Sean says, so I'm a Christian and I believe in Christ and I do my best to guide and help others here in the world. Fantastic. As long as like if you're like feeding the hungry and clothing the naked and sheltering the homeless, that would be fantastic. But if by help you mean preaching Christianity, then I would say that would not be help. So it's entirely dependent. Equal opportunity slavery, except Hebrews. Yeah, that's true. The only exception was slaves. You couldn't own them as property. If they really wanted to be a people set apart, they wouldn't have reinstated slavery. That is true. If God really wanted his people to be holy and really wanted his people to be like it says in the Torah, I think in the book of Deuteronomy, that the whole purpose of the Torah is so that people around them would go, wow, look at these excessively wise people, and how holy they are. If God really wanted the Israelites to be holy and to be wise, then he would have told them, hey, let's not have slaves. Here are some actual good ways of helping the poor and needy among you without having to result in slavery. And that would have been revolutionary and would have actually made the Israelites like a unique people group in the ancient world. Morality is conventional and holiness is a choice. I mean, except for the things that are holy in the Bible are disgusting, so it's not really a choice for me. God be like, protect the widow and the orphan in the same breath and go make widows and orphans. All right, we're gonna bring up 6-7. 6-7. I'm gonna ask you 3 preliminary questions and then we'll get to the conversation. Question number 1: are you at least 18 years old?
Yes.
Question
Hey, Johnny. But go ahead. Sorry.
Margaret Hayden.
Question number 2: what pronouns do you go by?
I go by he, him.
He, him. And then question number 3: are you Christian?
Absolutely not. I hate Christianity.
This is my friend Margaret.
Oh, fantastic. Margaret, what brings you up?
Just wanted to say hey guys, and that's really it. I disagree with everything that's up here. I don't believe in God. He's evil. Christianity's bad. Just pretty much what Johnny believes.
Well, W to Margaret. Hey, thank you for coming up and being a critical thinking individual.
Of course. Thank you. Have a nice one.
You too.
Bye, Margaret. You have a good one. See you later.
All right, we're gonna bring
I
up.
streamed earlier and Margaret came up and hanged out.
Okay, we're gonna bring up Bill. Probably not that Bill though. Bill, I'm gonna ask you the same 3 questions. Are you at least 18?
Yeah, man, I'm 21.
And what pronouns do you go by?
He, him.
And are you a Christian?
Yeah.
All right, I'm Dalton the Bible guy. Which one of the 7 questions on the board do you think you might be able to get me a good answer for?
Did Jesus rise from the dead?
All right, did he?
Yeah.
All right, why should I think that Jesus isn't dead?
Because Christ got crucified at Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. And if you actually go look at the place of the skull that everybody has, you see a man being crucified. So you see something that dies and then it's rejuvenated. It's brought back to life.
We don't know where Golgotha is.
And I just told you, Golgotha is the place. See, that's how I know you're listening to respond.
No, I heard what you said.
Listening to learn.
Golgotha means the place of the skull, and you make the claim that if we go there, we might see something. But here's the problem.
No, it's not a claim. No, hell,
no,
it ain't a claim. Go look it up.
No, we don't. There's a site.
No, that's a fact.
No,
that's a fact.
There's a site.
That's not a claim, sir. That's a fact.
There is a site that since the 1800s,
it says you are saved by the blood. The CFS derives from plasma blood.
Bill, don't make me mute you, bud.
Don't run from Christ.
I get to talk on my own live. Now,
go ahead, brother, man.
There is a site. Hush. There is a site. I'm going to mute you. So there is a site that we have pointed at since the 1800s, that we have made the claim is Golgotha, because there's a rock formation that roughly looks like a skull, but we don't have any real good reason to believe that this is Golgotha. That's just a speculative
That's not my
guess.
evidence. I have different evidence. I'm not going with the scholars. I'm a scholar as well. Why are you ignoring my evidence? Because my
Okay,
evidence, you can pull it up and go look at it.
what's your
Facts.
evidence that the place that you're pointing to is the actual Golgotha?
What are your
Because
qualifications?
Christ said verbatim that he was crucified at Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. Christ says in Colossians 1, chapter 1, verse 18, that he is the head of the body, which is the church.
Whoa.
So he already is showing you that he is.
Colossians was written by Paul, not by Jesus. Now, what is the evidence that the place that
I said
you identify
in Colossians, Christ says that. That's what I said.
What's Colossians?
Even if I'm saying the word wrong, you still know what I'm talking about.
Colossians, and that's a quote from Paul, not from Jesus.
No.
Who wrote Colossians?
Oh no, that was that from Paul? No, I'm pretty sure it was from Christ. No, that's from Christ.
What is the opening?
Let me look that up. You might be lying to the whole lie.
Oh, here, I'm going to read the opening of the book of Colossians.
Bill, you are not a scholar. What are your qualifications, Bill? What school did you go to? What is
you cannot ignore my evidence. It'll always be submitted.
Wait. I'm about to fact check you on the spot. Well, read verse 1 of Colossians for us right here. It's on the screen. Chapter 1, verse 1.
Go to 18. It's probably gonna be in red.
No. I asked you who wrote the
book.
book.
I always said Christ was speaking.
Okay, Bill. If you don't want to read it, I'll read it. So I'm gonna read it now.
Go ahead.
Paul, an apostle of Christ Jesus by the will of God, and Timothy our brother, to the saints and faithful brothers and sisters in Christ in Colossae. This text, the epistle to the Colossians, was
everything
written
I'm saying is facts. That's Christ speaking.
Hush. It was
chapter
written
1, verse 18. It's the one I said.
Chapter
Christ
1.
speaking. He said that was Paul speaking.
So wait, Paul.
He said chapter 1, verse 18. He said Paul was.
Yeah, it is Paul speaking. It says Paul says
he said Paul is speaking.
He is the head.
It's in red. It's in red.
No, it isn't.
It's not. Look on the screen. Does it look like it's in red to you? Look on the screen. It says.
I'm looking at it in red right now.
Why is Jesus referring to himself as he and not as I?
I'm looking at it in red.
Bill, chill out, bro. You're embarrassing yourself. It's so bad.
You're embarrassing.
I'll just mute you over and over again until I make my point because you can't act like an adult. So this text was written by Paul, and this is Paul speaking. Paul says about Jesus that he is the image of the invisible God. It's not Jesus saying, I am the image of the invisible God. And in verse 18, he says not I am the head of the body. It says he is the head of the body. Who's he? Bill.
Christ is the head of the body.
Yes. Why is Jesus saying
Christ is the head of the body? Because when you go to the
is Jesus saying
you go to the brain.
So Jesus is the head.
You can't run from the crucifixion of the brain.
Bill.
When you die, you will get judged by that cross, by that crucifixion. That's facts. I'm out of here. You will get judged.
Bill, stop being a coward. Bill left. He's a coward. That's a Christian, everyone, and he's a coward. I guess Revelation 21:8 says he's going to burn because he's a coward.
So, by the way, Bill, we just demonstrated live on the air that Bill has zero reading comprehension. So the text says about Jesus that, quote, he is the head of the body. If Jesus was the speaker, it would say, I am the head of the body. Bill, not Nye. Bill, no, the science bro. Is the Bible bro, but not the Bible bro because he hasn't read the book. So yeah, anyways, Bill, you need to learn the difference between third person pronouns and first person pronouns. And maybe reading context next time, bud. That was embarrassing.
Maybe his claim was that because it's in red that somehow means that it's God speaking, but where in the text does it actually say that? It doesn't. This is a book from Paul, and Paul is saying Jesus, he is the head of the body, the church. He is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead. This is Paul speaking about Jesus.
One moment. I need to make sure on TikTok that everything is lined up. And the best way for me to do that is to see what you guys are seeing. Let's see. All right. If I take this off and then look at the screen, let's see what you guys see. Oh wow, it's like there's like a huge ass lag. Okay, there we go. It looks centered up to me on my TikTok. I can I can see it just fine. I might just be on your end, bud. Hi, Cam.
I think there was a few points where it was lagging for me or something, but it's fine now. It looks like it's fine now. So
Yeah. All right. Maybe we can have an adult come up and talk to us. That would be fantastic. Hey, Bill. Why'd you run like a bitch? Anyways, Sky, Scroll Polly. I'm gonna ask you the same 3 preliminary questions that I ask all my guests. Question number 1: are you at least 18 years old?
Yes.
All right. And what pronouns do you go by?
Him.
And are you a Christian?
Not technically, no. I wouldn't say I'm a Christian.
Are you a theist of some kind?
Yeah, I would say I'm a theist, yeah.
All right. Is there one of the 7 questions on the board you'd like to give us an answer for?
I mean, I would say, again, like these are very much like Christian loaded questions. I would just kind of I would like to just more ask my question in terms of just like countering an atheist in general.
You know what? Normally I don't allow that, but I think I'll just make an allowance for it now because you seem like a reasonable person so far.
All right. So do you believe in morals?
Yeah. And I believe that all morals are subjective, even religious people's morals.
Okay, so if someone murdered someone else, could you say that what they did was a bad thing?
Yes, because when I use the word bad, what I mean is that something is detrimental to a very specific goal, and my goal is fairness and
what
well-being.
if they think murdering is good?
What?
But what if they think murdering is good?
Is their goal to murder?
Yeah, their goal is to murder. They murdered somebody.
From their perspective, if that's their goal, then that action would achieve their goal. But luckily, the rest of us, we understand. We have our goal is well-being and fairness. So
that's an appeal. That's an appeal to consensus, though.
No, I mean, no. Like even if everyone disagreed with me, I would still hold this goal. It's just lucky for me that a lot of people also agree with me. So we get to take people who murder other people and put them in a room.
But that doesn't make them wrong, though, right?
It depends on the goal.
You just said you admitted it. It's subjective. You admitted your morality.
It's wrong in relation to the goal that I have set. Can you? I see what's going on. I'm guessing you believe in objective morals. Can you provide me an positive argument for objective morals that isn't just I don't like the repercussions of subjective morals being true?
Well, I would just say, like, if I believe that murder is wrong, right? Even if the murderer thought what they were doing is right, I would say that what they're doing is wrong.
And that's your subjective.
Someone can be deluded into thinking they're right.
Yeah, that's your subjective, like, morality at play. But why should I think that?
No, but I would make the claim that like just because you think you're right doesn't make you right.
Sure,
I'm willing to say that.
So, what makes your moral system objective?
Well, I'm just saying, a subjective morality is just unsustainable.
No, I don't care. No. Again, I asked that you make a positive argument for objective morals that isn't just I don't like the repercussions of subjective morals.
The subjective one is just there's no alternative. There's the subjective moral is just
all there is.
Nonsense.
All there is subjective morals. There is no objective morals for us to turn to.
So then again, your only appeal to not killing the murderer or not punishing the murderer is the consensus of others. If everyone voted that murder's okay, you would accept that?
Yeah, it's lucky for me that the majority of people agree with my goal, which is well-being and fairness. But can you provide me a good reason to think that there are objective morals? Because like all I'm getting from you is that it makes me uncomfortable.
It's an absurd position, the subjective morality.
That's another other option. What's the other option?
No, the other option is you think that the person is murdering people is wrong and evil.
I do think it's wrong.
That's the other option.
I do think it's wrong and evil.
No, but under your worldview, there's no justification.
No, there is a
to
justification
basically say that what they're
because
doing is wrong.
my goal is
Because,
well-being and
because they think
fairness.
what they're doing is right.
No, there is a justification because my goal is wellness and fairness and well-being, and the action they are performing goes against that. So again,
But okay, what is fairness and well-being, and why should that be prioritized, and why is that good?
that's what I like. It's my preference.
So just preference.
Yeah. Do you have anything objective to counter that?
Well, I mean, the Bible gives reference to in the story of humanity over years. It says
the Bible
loving others is a priority. Loving
Yeah.
You're a
others
lying
is a priority.
Christian. You're a
That's a-
lying Christian, aren't you?
Yeah, that says
I'm not
I get-
Christian. I'm
I get-
giving one
the
reference.
Bible-
I'm giving one
the-
reference
the
over
Bible-
the course of history.
the Bible is-
telling us the story for what is good.
The Bible is the subjective opinion of Israelites, Jews, and Christians.
Dalton, may I say something to him?
You're saying it's a body of text telling us a story of what, and telling us a compelling story of what is good and bad.
It's
Okay?
again though, it's subjective. You haven't provided any reason to think that the position that they hold to
Is there
is also
anything in
objective.
particular with the worldview and the moral claims of
I think
loving
what-
others that you disagree with?
No, but because it
Okay, so
it aligns with my
then
goal.
I don't care. I don't care about labeling the
Scrolly,
idea of
Scrolly,
the Bible as being Christian.
Scrolly,
I'm talking about the
Scrolly, you
I'm
don't
talking about
have
the moral consideration.
yeah,
the
Scrolly,
moral consideration. Of,
Scrolly, you don't have objective morals though. Why are you pretending like your standard
I
is
do.
a more
I do.
prove that it's objective?
I do. It's not. There's no way I can prove that it's objective. I can't.
Then
prove
it's not.
Objective. You can't prove it's subjective.
No, that's the
It's
default.
not a matter of
no,
proving
that's
it,
that's the
I'm
default
challenging
position.
your argument.
Scrolly,
I'm
no,
challenging your
Scrollby, that's the default position. Until you can demonstrate that it is objective, the default position is that it's subjective. It's based in your mind.
How can you demonstrate that it's objective? How can you prove it's subjective?
Yeah, because it's does this standard come from outside of any particular mind or stance? Is it stance independent?
I mean, I would say so. I would say if you're a human, no matter where a human you are,
No, not just human.
killing other humans,
Not just human.
ideal.
No, not just human. I mean, stance
Sentient-
independent, and
sentient
any
species.
stance, even in like a God's stance. Does this
Sure.
morality prove true even if God disagrees?
No, God is making the rules.
Okay, then it's subjective because it's just God's subjective opinion.
Scrolly.
I don't think that's I
John, yeah, go ahead and ask
I
your
mean,
question, John.
that's a weird
Scrolly, are you a
word. I don't think
Christian?
that's a way to
Be
put it.
honest. Are you a Christian, Scrolly? Be honest.
I'm not. I wouldn't say that I'm a Christian because I don't necessarily believe.
Do you believe that
in
Jesus is the
resurrection
Christ and the
of
Son?
Christ.
Okay. Well, do you believe he's the Christ and the Son of God?
I believe that he's told a divine story.
Oh, well, you know what Jesus says? Whoever denies me before man, I will deny in the
Oh,
sight of the
my-
Father.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm much more of a metaphorical interpretation of the Bible, and therefore it's very
accused-
difficult for me to be able to call myself a Christian.
You accused Dalton of making an appeal to a census, but now you're making an appeal to authority by saying whatever God says is good is good. So you're appealing to an authority now.
Okay, do you believe? Okay, it's not. I'm not appealing to an authority by
You are.
saying that.
Here, let's test.
I'm literally saying
here, real quick.
what
let's
is good
let's
is what is. Okay.
let's
What
test
I'm
something.
saying is,
Scrolly, I
belief
want
in a-
Scrolly,
any
Scrolly,
belief in a-
Scrolly. I want to test something real quick. I want you to tell me the difference between something being subjective versus something being objective.
okay, so subjective would be my mind, right?
Just
Okay,
yours?
what I perceive, right? An example is what I perceive and what exists outside of my mind.
No, just give a definition, not an example.
Subjective is a personal interpretation. Objective is outside of any one mind.
Any one mind, including God's mind.
Sure.
So again, if your moral like position is coming from God dictating it, that's a subjective position. That's just God's subjective position. It's not objective.
If God made rules, right?
Uh-huh.
If God made the rules of chess, are the rules of chess objective?
No, they're subjective. We made them up. Once you
The rules
you,
of chess.
the
Who
chess
says the rules of chess are subjective?
everyone.
That's a silly thing to say. The
Was,
rules of
wait,
chess are not
wait.
subjective.
Was there a time when chess didn't exist?
It wouldn't be. You wouldn't. Sure. But you
Okay,
wouldn't call the rules of chess subjective.
and then someone came along and they made a chessboard and they made the pieces and then they made
Making up a game
and then they made
is
up
not
the
subjective.
and yes, it is. It came from a mind. The rules of
No,
chess
but once
came.
the rules exist, it's not
Yes,
subjective.
yes. Once the rules exist, so in the same way, I hold like the position that if we can agree that what we mean by morality is a system regarding
How
fairness
is this
and
any different
well-being,
than gravity?
gravity is objective because it
Is
exists in
okay,
the
so
world,
how is that's the
independent of any
rules of the
mind.
universe? That's the rules
Uh-huh.
of the universe. How is the rules of the universe different than the rules of chess?
Yeah,
In the
because
universe of chess, the rules
because
are
someone
objective.
didn't make up gravity. Gravity just exists in the
How
world.
do you know that?
Someone made. Well, we have no evidence that someone made up gravity. Do you have
Because you don't know.
evidence?
You're making a you just said that no one made
No,
it,
the
and you said we have
default.
no evidence.
The
That's the same, it's
default.
not the
The
same thing.
default
Absence of
position
evidence
is
is not evidence
no.
of
The
absence.
default. Scroll. You need to chill the fuck out, dude. The default position is that there is no creator until you can demonstrate there is a creator. So no one
No,
invented
absent
gravity.
of evidence is not evidence of
No.
It's not evidence.
Scrolly. For example, if someone made the claim that there's a teapot orbiting Jupiter, the default position is to say that I don't believe there is. I'm not saying that for sure there isn't. I'm just saying I don't believe you that there is. And when you said that there's
Sure,
someone who
because
made
we
someone
can
who
use
I'm
our
not done.
notion.
Fun fact, I'm not done talking. So just you making the claim that someone invented gravity, I'm going to hold the default position that we don't know that there was anyone who invented gravity. So the default position is that this just isn't true until you can demonstrate that it is. And so again, the rules of gravity just exists, and chess doesn't just exist. It was invented, the rules of it were made up, and then we agreed that okay, we are going to follow the rules of these rules that this person made up. And so now we can make the claim that something is like legal or illegal in the game of chess because we're agreeing to follow like this made up rule. Now, can you give us a positive argument for your moral position being objective, or is it just subjective morals make me uncomfortable?
Sorry. Sorry, repeat the question one more time.
Can you give an actual positive argument for objective morals other than subjective morals make me uncomfortable?
Can you give me the same? Can you give me the reverse?
No, because mine's the default position. We know that
Well,
we know that subjective morals exist. I have a mind and I have a moral system that comes from my mind. So that's evidence that subjective morals exist. What's the evidence that objective morals exist? Something independent
There's
of
no
minds.
evidence that subjective moral exists.
There you go.
No. He said wrong. He said subjective. No,
Oh, I thought he
there
said
is.
my apologies.
Okay, so Scrolly, do minds exist?
Sure.
Do I have a moral system that I follow?
Sure.
Where did that come from?
God.
No, my moral system doesn't come from God. I disagree with God.
Okay, but then what's your evidence that it's not from God?
Because I disagree with him.
Okay, but that is an evidence.
No, it is, because if my morals came from God, then my morals would align with God, but they don't.
But no, your moral. I think your morals do align with God. I think that
No,
your
it isn't.
morals are.
God's okay with
your
slavery.
morals are
I'm
written
not
on your
okay with
heart.
slavery.
Your morals are written on your heart. You can reject it.
No, I had to
You can
develop.
do the
No, I
general.
had to develop that. Also, this is like a byproduct of our evolutionary history. But my morals disagree with God because God's okay with slavery, and I'm not okay with slavery.
God isn't okay with slavery.
Yeah, he is.
Freed the Israelites from slavery.
Oh, if there's a guy who's okay with slavery, but his friend is a slave, and he goes, "Ooh, I don't want my friend to be a slave." Does that mean he's anti-slavery, or does he just doesn't want his
No,
friend
he's
to be a
talking to
slave?
people that believe in him. If you don't believe in him, then you don't. What do you mean? Like, what are you talking about?
God's fine with slaves. He just doesn't want his people to be slaves. There's a difference. He doesn't.
No,
mind
he
his-
doesn't. He clearly.
Have you
Listen,
wait? Have you read? Have you
Who
read
freed the slaves in the world?
Have you read the Bible? Have you actually read the Bible at all, Bud?
I haven't read it. I haven't read it to its completion, but I've
Have
read.
you read the book of Leviticus?
I read most of it when I was younger.
Did you read the book of
I
Leviticus?
haven't read it cover to cover, but I've
Here.
read, but I've read.
Can I read it for him?
Old
Yeah,
Testament,
here.
Old Testament excerpts.
I got it
and
on the
most of
screen.
New Testament.
I got it on the screen. This is God speaking, by the way. And what does God say?
As for the male and female,
Yeah, go ahead, John. No, you go ahead, Johnny. Start from verse 44.
As for the male and female slaves whom you may have, as from the nations around you, them you may acquire male and female slaves. You may also acquire them from among the aliens residing with you and from their families who are with you, who have been born in your land. They may be your property. You may keep them as a possession for your children after you, for them to inherit as property. These you may treat as slaves, but as for your fellow Israelites, no one shall rule over the other.
So are Christians having?
Wow, he wasn't done yet. Can just finish up.
Okay.
No one shall rule over the other with harshness. So they can own
What is the
slaves, they
point?
just can't own each other. The Israelites just couldn't own each other, but they could own other slaves.
There you go. So yeah, the God of the Bible A-okay with slaves, just not with his personal people being slaves.
Okay, do any Christians have slaves today?
Today, no, because it's illegal in America.
Okay, who was the major?
Actually, I don't know.
Abolitionist for Christians.
I don't
Who
know
were the
if
major
I
abolitionists
don't
but
know if Christians.
that stopped
I'm not
slavery?
done. I don't know if Christians in other countries have slaves or not, because slavery is okay in other countries. So I don't know if Christians in other countries have slavery. So, but in America,
Who was the major pushing of abolitionism in the world?
Christians and non-Christians, but also
Christians.
in
it
America,
was a divine.
It wasn't divine.
Mandate to
Scrolly.
say that we're all.
Scrolly, show me where in the Bible it says not to own slaves. Go ahead.
You make interpretations, and that's why we changed it. We're all under.
Show me where in the Bible. Show me where in the Bible it says to own slaves. Go ahead.
Do you think that when I ask you, did I not ask you who was the major abolitionists? I said it was Christians. Christians were the abolitionists.
Who is the major abolitionist? I don't remember that the name of that book from the Bible. Do you, Johnny?
No, I was about to say, this doesn't sound like a Bible verse. It sounds like whining and complaining.
Okay.
So Scrolly, I'll ask you again. What book? Where in the Bible
do
does
you
it
not understand?
preach? Where in the Bible does it preach against owning slaves?
Why are you trying to devolve the argument into what the Bible says about slavery?
We're talking about God.
One, I've already demonstrated to you, I'm not a Christian. I'm not an expert in Christian theology.
Oh, so you don't get your morals from the Bible. So how do you know what God's position is on slavery?
No, we do get our morals from the Bible. What are you talking about?
Oh, okay. Then be consistent. Then the Bible's okay with slavery. Unless you can show me where it's not.
The Bible's okay with slavery. That's why Christians don't have fucking slaves.
Where does the Bible? Where does the Bible say you can't own slaves? Go ahead, show us.
Why? Okay, can you give me like a steel man? Think for a second. Okay.
No, you can answer.
Why do Christians?
Because slavery is illegal, and because human beings have progressed despite what these archaic, backwards religions would have us do. And by the way, slaves also owned by. Did slaves not own? Sorry, did Christians not own? Did Christians? Sorry, in America, the majority of slave owners, what religion did they belong to?
They could have been Christian. They could have been Christian.
So it doesn't matter that Christians are also doing abolition, because Christians were also fighting for slavery.
It does matter.
So the question is, what does the Bible say?
Some say that it's wrong, and some say that.
Okay, so it seems like that's like they're all giving their subjective opinion. The question is, what does the Bible say? What is the Bible's position on slavery, Scrolly? Maybe if you
actually stop.
Maybe if you stopped whining and started answering my questions, I wouldn't have to mute you.
I'm answering your question. Stop muting. It's annoying as hell, dude.
Okay, I'll just keep annoying you. So the question is, and this is what I want the answer to, what does the Bible say? Show me the book, chapter, and verse that says you can't own slaves.
Why did Christians stop buying slaves then?
Enlightenment values.
They went against the Bible.
Yeah, Enlightenment values. Now, where does the Bible say?
Okay.
Where does the Bible? I'm going to keep asking you until you answer the question.
Where did the
No, I'm just going to keep asking you until you answer the question. Where does the Bible say? Where does the Bible say you can't own slaves?
Why can't I? How childish do you have? Stop. Why are you doing?
So the thing is that Christians actually went against the Bible when they pushed for abolition of slavery, because the Bible is very much pro-slavery. There's not a single verse in the Bible that ever says slavery is wrong. All you get is the Old Testament saying it's okay. Jesus affirming it in the New Testament when he affirms the Torah, Matthew 5:17. And the one verse that Christians often try to say in First Timothy, this verse in First Timothy, I forget which one exactly, does not condemn slavery. It condemns kidnapping people, but there were other ways to own slaves besides kidnapping.
So are you going to give me a Bible verse now that shows me where it's not okay to own slaves?
Justify not owning slaves.
Oh, where does the Bible say God says not to own slaves? What values justify?
You're not going to answer the question.
You're not going to answer the question.
Wow, Dalton, you sound just like this guest. Very good impression of a whiny Christian.
So no, I'm going to keep asking you until you answer. I'm going to give you 5 more attempts. And
I'm,
then
I'm asking you the same question over.
Nope. I'm going to give you 5 more attempts, and if you don't answer by the end of those 5 attempts, I'm going to drop you. So, attempt number 1. Where does the Bible say that you're not allowed to own slaves?
What values?
Question. I'll try attempt number 2. Where does the Bible say you're not allowed to own slaves? If you don't answer, I'm assuming you're a coward and you're trying to run.
What values?
Question number. Attempt number 3. Where does the Bible say we're not allowed to own slaves?
What values?
Attempt number 4. Where does the Bible say we're not allowed to own slaves?
What values?
Attempt number 4. Where does the Bible say we don't have to own slaves?
What values?
Bye, coward.
He made himself look really bad.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be a good conversation, and then they started acting like a jackass. So I give the energy that I get. Oh man, can we get an adult up here? That would be fantastic. God damn. Oh man. Okay, I'm going to read some super chats, and then we're going to bring up JK, and then after JK, Felix the Muslim. So here we go.
At Liquid with the $2. Was Jesus okay with / against slavery, or doesn't say?
Well, if we go by Jesus' own words in Matthew chapter 5, verse 17, Jesus fully supported observance of the law of Moses. And since the law of Moses fully supports the owning of slaves, we can probably conclude that Jesus was okay with slaves. Slavery was normative in the 1st century CE. Paul, in his own writings, just assumes that slavery is a thing that happens and says that slaves should obey their masters. So Jesus probably would have had a similar outlook. It was just a given. It's like capitalism, which is like a given for our modern day society. So people just accept it. In the same way, Jesus probably would have just accepted by default that slavery is just a thing and wouldn't have had a problem with it.
And even one of the greatest commandments, love thy neighbor, the one that Jesus tells her, one of the 2 greatest commandments that Jesus gives, love thy neighbor as you love yourself, comes from Leviticus 19, just 6 chapters before you may own slaves, and this is how you may get them.
Yeah.
At Dimmelman Viking with the $2. Bill gished out so hard, he galloped away.
Yeah, he did. And by the way, just so everyone's clear, I told Bill that I would drop him if he did not answer the question. So Bill refused to answer the question because he wanted to be dropped, because he realized that he didn't have a good way of like giving evidence for there being objective morals. So that was Bill running away like a coward, just so we're clear. And
at Trump failed with the $2. Jefferson Davis ends the Christians freed slaves argument.
Jefferson Davis was a Christian. Jefferson Davis fought for slavery. So were Christians doing abolitionist work? Yes. Were Christians doing pro-slavery work? Yes. It's almost like people had their positions independent of what the Bible said. So if we want to know whether or not the Bible is okay with slavery, we shouldn't be looking towards Christians in the 17 and 1800s. We should be going to the text itself and seeing what does the text itself, just because Christians don't always do what the Bible says. I think that's kind of obvious though. And then one more super chat before we move on. At
Tracy with the $4.99. Does he know there was a slave Bible that was used for pro-slavery?
Probably not. I don't think so. I don't think this person was very aware about anything in regards to the Bible. Voice mod is an awesome tool for this. Love it. Yeah, I agree. All right, we're gonna bring up. We're gonna bring up JK. JK, I'm gonna ask you 3 preliminary questions, and then we'll get to the conversation at hand. Please be an adult. Question number 1: are you at least 18?
Yeah.
Question number 2: what pronouns do you go by?
He, him.
And are you a Christian?
Yes.
All right. I'm Dalton, the Bible guy. Which one of the 7 topics on the board do you think you might be able to give me a good answer for?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about goodness and God's goodness. So I guess number 6.
All right. Is God good?
I'm curious why you think that moral subjectivism is the default position.
It's all I have evidence for. I've never been given any evidence that objective morals exist.
Do you think that should be the default position for everybody, or are you just saying you personally, this is what you default to?
It's just the default position. Doesn't matter who you are, because if objective morals don't exist, then every moral system that exists is just subjective by default. It all comes from minds.
Yeah, so that's assuming objective morals don't exist. I'm wondering why you start with that assumption.
I don't assume it. It's just that I've never been given evidence that objective morals exist. I do have evidence that subjective morals exist. I don't have any evidence of objective morals existing.
And by subjective morals, do you mean like moral stances that people take?
Yeah, stance-dependent positions. I've never had any evidence of there being like stance-independent moral positions.
Okay. So when you say like you don't have to defend moral subjectivism, this seems to me like a very personal experience and not like rules of the game that everyone should play by, because your justification for saying this is just you personally have not received evidence.
Do you think they don't exist? Subjective morals don't exist?
I think morality is objective. I think we experience morality through subjective senses and intuitions, but it's a reaction to something objective.
What's the evidence for that?
Yeah, so I would say that the same way we could justify natural facts in the world and say that they are objective is the same way we can say that morality is objective because of the features that they have.
Where is it located?
Well, I'm not saying it's like takes up physical space, if that's what you're asking. I think that it's like a
where does it come from?
Metaphysical reality. Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, you said it's a metaphysical reality. Where does it come from? If it's not coming from any mind, where is it coming from?
Yeah, so I would say that this is like a fountain. I actually don't have to answer that question to show that they're objective, but
you do.
No, I don't.
I need to know that they're not coming. If they're coming from a mind,
you can. So, for example,
then they're subjective. If they're not coming from a mind, then they would be objective. I just need evidence that these morals that you speak of are not like based on some mind.
Yeah, so I would just say that I could acknowledge that a tree is objective without knowing where it came from.
Yeah, because
I could have no knowledge of biology or arbory or anything like that.
Well, trees exist independent of any mind existing. That's why they're objective. This moral system, what's the evidence that it would exist
How can you? So I'd say the same way.
Would exist if no mind existed? What's the evidence that this moral system would still exist?
So I would say the same way that you can be sure and confident that the tree exists, even if there's no mind to think about it, is the same way you can be confident to know that morals exist without anyone thinking about it. And I can demonstrate that.
I can see trees outside of my house, and I know that if I disappeared and all humans disappeared, the tree would remain because the tree isn't contingent on my existing. Therefore, it's objective in the universe. I can't do that with I've never seen that demonstrated with any moral system, that it just exists even if all humans and all minds disappeared.
Okay, can I try to demonstrate it to you?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I would say the reason why I would agree with you and I would be confident the tree would exist even if no one's looking at it is for two features that the tree has. Is first of all, its universality of appearance. So the idea that I can point to the tree and you could see it as well. And I know that it's not just something that I'm seeing myself. It's actually something I can point to that other people can recognize. And the second thing is the involuntary nature of the tree, which is the idea that like I could, for example, run into it and it would stop me in my path. Or if I like try to hit it, it would stop my hand. So it's imposing on me from the outside, even when it's inconvenient for me. I would say that these two features are both present in morals as well, right? We can point to morals you
can point to morals that don't come from minds.
Yeah, so I'll explain what I mean by that. When I feel wronged by you, I can point to a moral reality or a moral fact that I assume that you can recognize as well, the same way I would point to a tree and say, can you see that? What is that? So like if you cut me in line and I say I was here first, I'm appealing to some standard of fairness that I assume that we both recognize.
Because we're both social
That's not just, it wouldn't make sense if it was just something I
that's-
made up in my mind.
That's just because we're both part of a social species. That's why we experience fairness. It's based in our mind
Well,
still.
you see, when you say experience, I would disagree with the phrasing like experience fairness. I would say that it's like something that we reference or point to as a standard that we both acknowledge, right? It's not like I don't have a feeling of fairness, right?
Yes,
That
you
doesn't
do.
make sense. I feel fair today. Like it's actually, no, I think I can feel wronged by someone. I can feel cheated, but that's only if they break this standard that exists outside of something I made up.
If there's a social contract that we agree on and someone breaks that social contract, we understand that that is unfair. But where's the evidence that this is all coming from somewhere outside of the brain, that there's some sort of objective like rule that says you cannot do this, and it's independent of any mind?
Yeah, because so I would say that gets into the second aspect of it, which is its involuntary nature, right? So moral impulses seem to impose upon us even when they're inconvenient. Like we can't just wish them away or change our goal, like you said, and just like
some people don't have
some
people don't have the same goal as me. Sadly,
well, and some people so all of your objections also could apply to the physical world, right? Like some people deny that the earth is round. Some people deny that the external world exists.
They'd be objectively wrong, though.
Yeah, they'd be
Well, my
objectively
point is
wrong.
that-
You
Yeah,
can't
exactly. And
if another
Yeah,
person
that's
has
my
a different standard of me, for example, they have a standard of they want to cause as much harm as possible. What makes them objectively wrong?
Yeah, because they're actually incorrect. Like I think only objectivists can say the word wrong in that case.
Incorrect would mean that there's like a there's a definite standard
Yes, it
that
would
exists
mean that
outside of the
there is-
mind, and where is that standard?
It would mean that there are these things called moral facts that you can be incorrect about, and that I think makes the best sense of our experience. Based
Where
on
are these
two
moral
features.
facts located? That doesn't just
Okay, obviously, I
tell us
don't-
that they originate from the mind.
Yeah, so obviously, like I said, they're metaphysical realities. So I don't understand why you
Prove-
keep asking where they're located.
I don't even know what that means, bud. I'm not a philosopher.
So it's okay. So let me ask you, where does the number 2 located?
Nowhere, because the
Oh.
number two numbers don't exist. Quantities exist. Objects exist in quantities, and then we created language to describe quantity, and then we created symbols to describe that language. But numbers don't exist.
Right. So I would say that the same way that we use a language to describe like mathematics, for example, we're acknowledging, hey, here's a function of the universe that doesn't take up space and time, but we acknowledge that it's useful to recognize this.
The objects
And so-
exist. The objects exist, and they have relationships to one another. And that's what math is all about: objects, quantities, and their relationships to each other. So the language of math is being used to describe something objective in the physical world.
So do you think that only physical things exist?
As far as I don't know if technically, because like gravity, is it physical? It's certainly natural. That's more of a question for Blitz. As far as I can tell, the only things that exist are natural things.
So that statement itself can't be like verified through natural reality. That is like a philosophical take.
I don't have any evidence of there being anything other than nature. That's why I
Right,
don't
but
believe in the supernature.
But you believe, okay, well, yes, you do, right? You believe that you're
don't.
conscious right now, right? If
My
I said where,
consciousness is physical. It's in my brain. It's just the firing of synapses. That's it. As far as I can
yeah,
tell.
so where, if you're so confident of that,
consciousness.
tell me where is consciousness in the brain?
It's just the firing of all the synapses, all of the different patterns existing in my brains is my
how much
consciousness.
does it weigh? Like, how much does it weigh? How much room does it take up?
If you could find a way to isolate every single one of those like firings and then somehow weigh them, you would find out the weight of my consciousness, I suppose, in a given single moment, because it's constantly like firing on and off. So it's not like it doesn't stay the same.
They just did this with a fruit fly not too long ago. They essentially mapped a fruit fly's brain, and they copied it, and they essentially put it into a computer, and it acts just like a fruit fly. They didn't edit it or anything. They didn't add to it. They just took literally a mapping of its brain and put it into a simulation, and it does all, and gave it a little body, and it does all the things a fly would do. So every indication of consciousness is that it exists in our brain. Do we fully understand it? No. We may never we may never be able to. But there's a reason that brain damage changes the way people experience consciousness. Is because when the brain is damaged, it changes the structure and it changes the way synapses are able to fire, and it can change the way certain chemical reactions occur in the brain. And so therefore you're now experiencing consciousness differently. I actually know people I actually know a person, specifically someone pretty close to me, a friend of a daughter of a friend of mine. They have severe brain damage, and they're nowhere near like what they used to be. They have like
New
they're
personality.
on like like not even just their personality, just their ability to comprehend things. It's like they're nowhere near the same like they used to be, and that's just the reality of consciousness, is that it's in the brain. We have no evidence that it exists outside of the brain.
So I would say the thing that differentiates brain states or mental states from physical states, one of the examples would be like the aboutness of our consciousness. So the fact that I can think about something is different. Like a neuron can't be about something, a brain cell can't be about something,
No,
but
a
I can
pattern,
have these thoughts.
no, a pattern of neurons can be about something. Like when I
Oh,
think
sure.
of
Yeah,
when I think
demonstrate
of
that.
when I think of an apple, there's a certain like pattern of neurons that occur, which is why like people, like for example, we've gotten to the point where we can like, for example, like see what people in a sense are starting to dream about using like technology. We're able to like scan their brains and see exactly what it is they're thinking of, because again, all of our thoughts, all of our like mental images and stuff like that are just in the brain. And sometimes people's brains work differently, which is why some people have like aphantasia, for example.
That is true. We now have the technology to be able to put people's dreams into videos. We can actually see the things that they are dreaming about because of the way their brains work. It is possible now.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not a neuroscientist, but I don't think correlation equates to aboutness. Like, I think mapping brain states
But
can show correlation.
all I've got,
I feel like I can't finish my
here's the thing.
statements.
Here's the
I've
thing,
been
though.
letting you guys finish.
Here's the thing, Joe, JK. All of the data seems to point in the direction that what we refer to as consciousness is coming from our brains. And there is no data to support that it's coming from outside of our brains. So I'm just going to hold to like the best answer based on the available data is that the brain is generating my consciousness. It's not definitive. It's not 100%, but it's the best answer we have based on the available data.
I haven't seen any data that explains qualia through like just boils it down to naturalism. So I don't know. Maybe we're
I don't know.
just
I
gonna
think
have to
this dream recording
Do you know what I
machine
mean by
seems
qualia?
like the aboutness of things, but again, like
No, qualia is specifically referring to like subjective experience. So like the ability to feel feelings and like see
that's
like
based
the
on
experience of redness.
yeah, that's I have like nervous system, I have eyeballs, and those like light bounces off of objects and it splits up and parts of it go into my eye and that gets like registered in the brain. That's how you see colors like red. Why you can feel something hot is because your nerve endings are firing and it goes all the way up into the brain.
Yeah, so you can map like pain signals, color processing, like emotional like responses and stuff, but you haven't explained like why pain hurts or why red looks like anything or why like this experience that we have actually
red looks the way it does because light is like made up of multiple colors and like it splits off, and then certain spectrums of the light, like the red light links, go into our brains and interprets it as red. Other animals see it differently.
Yeah.
Right. What I'm describing is the hard problem of consciousness. This has been like, I don't know if you ever read David Chandler's, but like your responses are not actually getting at the problem. I don't want to spend too much time on consciousness. The only reason I brought up consciousness is because I'm trying to demonstrate that there are things outside of the physical world that it's meaningful to say exist. And
I don't have any examples of that. I still haven't been presented with anything really that I think isn't natural.
Do you think that the laws of logic exist?
I think that the universe exists and that it functions in a certain pattern, and then human beings came along with our brains and our sense organs, noticed those patterns, and then we created what we call the laws of logic as a systematized explanation of the patterns. The laws of logic are not prescriptive, they're just descriptive of the universe.
Wait, so you just contradicted yourself though. If you're saying that we create the laws of logic, that is prescriptive. But if we
No, it's
discover the laws of
descript.
logic, then
It's
it's
like
descriptive.
no, it's like the law of gravity. Like gravity is an objective reality in the world, and then we create the
So
law
laws
of
of logic are an
gravity.
objective reality.
The laws of logic. No. The universe functions in certain ways. Correct.
Hmm.
We come along. We have brains and sense organs. We notice the patterns. Like for example, we notice that this object is this object. That's just the way that the universe functions. This object is this object. My brain notices this and then categorizes this, and I go, okay, we're going to call this we're going to call this the law of identity, that an object is what it is, because that's what we see. The laws of logic are describing the way that the universe just works.
Yeah, so I would say when you're looking at that pencil in your hand,
It's actually
right? If I were
a clamper, but yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. So you're holding that clamper in your hand, right? And you say, this is something that exists outside of my mind. And I were to say, actually, I have no evidence to believe that. My default position is that that's just a subjective experience you're having. You would look at me crazy. And that's kind of how it sounds to me when you're saying your default position is
If
that
you're
morals
if you're about to start defending solipsism, listen, I don't have 100% certainty that I'm not a brain in a vat, but all of the data available to me tells me that this object exists and I'm touching it. And I have high confidence in that,
Yeah.
but I don't have absolute certainty. And I think it would be ridiculous to make the claim that one has absolute certainty that this object exists in my hand.
Yeah, so I would just say I agree with you. I'm not saying that you have to have 100% certainty, but I'm saying like you have a justified reason in believing that it exists because of the involuntary nature of like running into the physical contact of that object, and also being able to hold it up and have other people recognize it. That's the universality of appearance. I think both of those features are present in moral facts as well, which justify me in believing that morals are objective.
There's nothing moral about this object. I'm holding this object.
I know that's not what. Let me try that again. 'Cause I
Don't
think you
forget,
understand what
I'm not
saying.
a philosopher. We talk about the Bible on this channel.
I know. I'm trying to make this in like everyday language. So the two of the reasons why I would believe that clamp actually exists and is not just a figment of my imagination is its universality of appearance, meaning other people can see it, not just me, and its involuntary nature, meaning that I can't go through it. I run up against it, even if I don't prefer that it be there. I can't just wish it
And
away.
That's entirely physical. That entire process is physical, as far as I can tell.
Okay,
Vicky, how do you know those
can
other people aren't just in your head though?
Yeah.
Well, that gets back into solipsism, right? And we're not. The host said that we don't want to talk about that, and I agree. I
I'm
can
just
agree with
messing
you.
around. I'm just messing
So
around.
so for example, if you say that you said that morality just comes back to what are my goals, right?
Yeah.
If something matches my goals, then it's good.
That's what
So you're
good
using
means.
goodness kind of like
Good,
yeah.
and,
So
good,
that's
and,
what
good and bad are shorthand terms. When we use the word good, we mean this thing is beneficial towards a particular goal. And when I use the word bad, that's just shorthand for this thing is detrimental towards a particular goal.
yeah. So there's a lot of ways I can take. I guess I would just say the thing that about moral impulses is that they seem to impose upon us even when they're inconvenient and go against our goals. So if, like, for example, we know what it's like to feel things like guilt and
Well,
pity and shame, even when we prefer that they don't exist. So
no,
if
wait,
you
wait,
read the
wait,
book,
wait.
like, yeah.
If something like, for example, Nazis come to my door asking if I have Jews in the closet. If my goal is fairness and well-being, then like doing the hard thing isn't contrary to my goal.
In that situation, right?
Yeah, so it's not like something's imposing upon me contrary to my goal. If something's imposing upon me contrary to my goal, then like that thing I would say is like probably not a good thing, because it's
So
like of the goal I have in mind.
I'll use the example of like, did you have to read Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe in school?
Telltale Heart.
I did.
I think the only thing I read from Edgar Allan Poe is the one where he's got the
Raven?
the body in the basement or what, under the
Oh,
floorboards
that's the
or
one.
whatever.
Yeah. That's Telltale Heart. So
Oh, okay.
it's like his goal is to get away with this crime, because if he gets away with it, he doesn't face punishment. He's able to live the rest of his life untouched. And the thing is, this crime actually goes unnoticed. Like no one finds out about it. But this moral impulse of like, I did something wrong and I can't escape it, is really nagging him to the point where it drives him crazy. And I think we all have that moral impulse. We would wish it away.
I guess that's because the character actually has an underlying goal of like justice. He wants to be treated fairly. He understands that what he wants is to live in a society where like crime is punished. And so when he feels that guilt, is because he knows he's doing something that runs contrary to his goal.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, I can choose my goals, but it seems like guilt is inescapable, right? It's not something I can just choose.
I would say guilt happens when you do something that is contrary to the goal that you want. Like my goal is fairness and well-being, and that's probably because I'm a social animal and I like recognize that this is most beneficial. It's like really baked into me because of evolution, and that when I do something contrary to that goal that I have, that's when the guilt sets in.
Right. Even if with other goals, the reason I don't think this is just a goal is because I can't choose like another goal. Like I can't make my choice be to not feel guilt, and that's my goal. And then suddenly my guilt just goes away. It's like something involuntary.
Yeah. And I would say that my goal of like fairness and well-being that comes about because I have empathy, and empathy is just a byproduct of our evolutionary past. It's part of being a social species.
Okay, this is a little different from what you were telling me earlier.
No, this has always been part of my position.
Okay, well, I didn't know that empathy was a part of I thought it was just like fairness and well-being.
Yeah, my fairness and well-being is a byproduct of the fact that I'm a Homo sapien. And typically Homo sapiens are social species, and unless some sort of like something is going wrong within the hardwiring of the brain, in which case sociopaths arise. Although even then they realize that on a selfish level that if they run contrary to like what society says, then they'll get the boot. So they have to like, the sociopaths will mask. But like typically because we're a social species and we have empathy, that's why we have we generally have goals of fairness and well-being. Although sometimes religions make people like do and say things which run contrary to that evolutionary like predisposition.
So I'm curious what you think about, from my understanding of what you're saying is, like traits like cooperation and fairness, empathy, altruism, these things increase the survival and reproductive success of human beings because they promote the well-being of our collective, like of our society, and they produce, reproductive success. So if I want to live in a society where I am treated fairly, then it's best for me to treat other people fairly. And these survival instincts are like built into our subconscious. Is that right?
Yeah, it is part of someone's out. Yeah, sorry, I had to drink water. I realized I was dehydrating. Anyways, yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, because the fact that we're a social species, empathy is like a byproduct because empathy helps the survival of the species.
Okay, I got a few questions for you about this. So, if I lived my life in this way, I say I'm only going to help other people if it benefits me.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a virtuous way to live?
I'm only going to help other people that help me. I mean,
no,
virtuous,
not that help me. I'm only going to help people when it benefits me.
When it benefits me. I mean, not in regard to my goal.
Why?
Because my goal is fairness and well-being, and that would run contrary to that.
Well, you anchored your goal of fairness and well-being in the fact that it ultimately benefits you because that's the kind of society you want to live in. So it does benefit you,
but also
right?
It benefits other people because I have empathy and like I'm able to I have mirror neurons in my brain, and so like when I see people hurting, because of my mirror neurons, like I feel it on some level. So that's why like it's not just about what benefits me. I also want to make for example, this is a weird thing, but for example, in the sack, I really enjoy not just getting my own orgasm, but my partner reaching her end as well. And that's because of that empathy that I'm able to understand the joy that comes with that. And then I feel great amounts of joy from having them experience it. And that's because of those mirror neurons in the brain.
Hell yeah.
So the problem I see is that the situation you're describing is getting at an is and not an ought. You know what I mean by that?
Well, I think you can derive oughts from is if your goal is wellness and fair being, then you ought to do X.
Well, you're not even saying that though. You're just saying it is the case I have these neurons that fire that make me empathetic, therefore I am empathetic. So
that's
there is
just
no you ought to be empathetic. It's just that you are empathetic.
oh yeah, that's just because of my biology. If like we were like a fox, for example, foxes are not social species. They don't run in packs, and therefore they have different sort of interaction with other foxes. Whereas if you were to like go to like a group of chimpanzees do exhibit empathy towards one another, and they actually have an understanding on a rudimentary level of fairness and justice. Which is why like when one particular ape is being mean, like they gang up on them, because of the fact that they're a social species, unlike the fox.
So if one social species, like let's say like a group of social animals, right? You said chimpanzees, for example, right?
Yeah.
Let's say that they decide what is best for their, genetic line or their tribe is to wipe out a neighboring tribe and take their resources. Is this a good thing to do?
If it aligns with their goal, then by virtue of what good means, if they have a goal and if an action is beneficial to their goal, then that would be good to them. It just wouldn't like it's not my goal though.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like you're using, and I stop me if I'm just being like a Philbro on this, but like this is the best way I can explain it, is like you're using good as like an instrumental thing. So it's like useful to an end is essentially what you're saying goodness is. And I guess the problem I see in this is that there's a lot of
good is just good isn't the instrument, it's just the description of what's happening.
Right, you're describing something that's so like you're in the same way that I could say this is a good move in chess. My goal is to win the chess game. This would be a good move, right?
Yeah.
So this to me, this is no longer a conversation about morals, because I would never say that it's morally good to make a move in chess. I think when we talk about morals, we're talking about something more than just what's instrumental.
Yeah, morals are about like how we treat other people. That's what morals are about. So when we say something's good morally, if your goal is about treating others with fairness and well-being, then an action is good by virtue of does it like help with that end goal.
Yeah, but it's more than that though, right? Like if I make a promise to you and you die, and I say like after you die I will, bury this, this special trinket in the ground because I told you I would. I'm no longer treating you anyway because there's no you to be treated, but I still have a moral obligation to fulfill my promise.
If
right?
you want,
so I think it goes beyond just.
I wouldn't really care.
Okay, well let's take example like I have an obligation to create a world that is conducive to the flourishing of children I've yet to have. So like I like the next generation that doesn't exist, I think I have a moral obligation to them even though they don't exist yet. Would you disagree with that?
Generally, I would agree, which is why like I'm pro recycling, for example, because I not want to only make society better now, but I want to make society better for the future because I understand what it's like to suffer.
Right on, yeah. So I think that just shows that like our moral impulses aren't always tied to treating other people that exist fairly, but we actually have because of a responsibility to like progeny.
Because of my empathy, I'm able to understand what suffering looks like and feels like, and I can understand what a person in the future would feel like for them to suffer. So it's just the same thing, except for now we're talking about just like imagining a potential person. And then because I know what it's like to suffer, I'm mapping on that suffering onto a future person.
That doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's fine. They exist like conceptually in my brain.
Okay. So like if I were to like, what do you think about examples of people who go against their survival like instincts to save other people? So like I think of like the firemen that ran into the Twin Towers, right? Like they were doing something that went against their biological instincts, but we would say that they were doing something heroic.
This is like because their goal is the fairness and well-being of others, and that's why they ran into the fire against their own well-being, because they wanted to support the well-being of others.
Okay, right, but this doesn't take into account their survival, which is what you're basing that's where the goodness of.
No, because like, it's better for the survival of our species that we do this thing. It might not be good for the survival of the self, but like because of like the fact that we're a social species, like we want to like help with the flourishing of our like social of our species. And
But
this
why
actually
should I
does
care
that.
about why should I care about the flourishing of other people if it costs me my life?
Why is not the appropriate question. I don't think. Like, it depends. Is that your goal or not? I can't tell you what your goals are.
So yeah, that's the problem, is if you're not talking about morality at this point. Like,
I
morality
am.
deals with shoulds and oughts, and you're just talking about
No, yeah,
what is
yeah.
the case.
You ought to do this if your goal is this. If your goal isn't that, then I guess you ought not to do it.
What sense would it make for me to anchor my goal in anything other than my own well-being?
My own well-being? Well, I mean, if you, like, for example, you don't want to be like murdered, for example, right?
That's going back to my well-being. I'm saying what sense would it make to say that my goal is the benefit of other people, even if it costs me my life? Like, that doesn't make any sense under your worldview.
Yeah, no, it does make sense. It's part of our evolutionary, like it's baked into us evolutionarily speaking, because of those mirror neurons.
Hold on. Evolution is ordered towards survival and reproduction.
Of the
So you can't
of the group, not just of
so you
individuals.
can't say that self-sacrifice is an evolutionary byproduct.
No, it
because
is. It is, because it's not
In
just
what
about
way?
because it's not just about the survival of the self. It's about the perpetuation of the species, which is why we do like reproduction.
Yeah, I don't see a reason under your view to care about that. Like,
I mean, maybe you're more of a fox than you are of a chimp. I don't know, bud, but like,
I believe that the reason why we should help other people is because they're created in the image of God and that they're valuable,
But
right?
they're
It's
not-
not just my preference. Like, I have a duty.
You can't substantiate that though.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't dealt with my two arguments about universality of appearance and about the involuntary nature of morality. Those are my two arguments.
I mean, like, there's just a whole mountain of problems with that statement. I probably don't even agree with you as to what it means when the Bible says we are made in the image of God. Like, there's a whole mountain of problems. But like,
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying that the two features I said, like, any argument you use to deny moral reality can be used to deny the physical reality. That's the problem you're running into that you haven't addressed.
Not so far. I haven't failed to give you an explanation for any of my positions so far.
Okay, so let's really get into the nitty gritty about this then. Like, if I say I believe that
I can't only have you up here for 10 more minutes because you've been up here.
I'm sorry.
Because I got other people waiting, so I'll give you 10 more minutes.
Fine. Hey, okay, all right. It seems like at the bottom, if you drill down to these intuitions, you believe that the external world exists, but it's only through your it's not subconscious. You're only through your subjective experience that you can justify this. Yep. Right? So I would say I believe that a moral reality exists, and it's only through my subjective experience that I can justify it.
Prove it prove that the objective morals exist in the same way that I can prove that tree out there exists.
Yeah, so you can point to it and other people can recognize it, and then you also
Point to it where?
Involuntarily.
Can you point to it being anywhere outside of a brain?
When I say point to it, I mean reference it. I'm not saying point to a location, right? So when I say, hey, you cut me online, that's not fair, I'm pointing to a moral standard.
The way I'm able to tell that physical objects exist is that I point to them because they are located at places. So it's not the same as with your moral beliefs.
The only reason you believe that is because you're having a subjective experience. So how do you know that it's subjectively there?
Yeah, no, I would just confer with other minds.
Okay, so if other people can also recognize it, then that gives you evidence that it exists outside of your mind, right?
Yes, but so far in this conversation, you haven't been able to demonstrate that your moral intuitions come from outside of your own, like, evolutionary. Or I guess if you want, in a sense, like, your moral might come from outside your brain, that it's part of your biology and part of our evolutionary history. But that's probably as far as it can go.
Wait, then that would just mean morals are objective by that standard.
Nope.
No.
If you're saying that they exist in our biology and they're not mental states, then they are objective.
Well, no, they're found in the brain. Like, if a person didn't have a brain, they wouldn't have a moral stance.
Yeah, but that's physical. That's objective.
No, again, objective means stance independent, correct?
Right, but it's not stance dependent, it's neuron dependent. And neurons are physical.
Neurons are your stance derives from your brain state.
Right, and your brain state is an objective physical truth, right?
I mean, they exist objectively.
Yeah, so morals are objective under your definition.
If you want to take that position, and the fact it's kind of like chess, the rules of chess are subjective, but once we come to an agreement on what we consider to be the rules of chess, then you can make objective statements. So if you and I have the same goal, and that's the subjective part, whether or not you have that goal. But if you do have the same goal as me, because you might be a sociopath, and therefore your brain just isn't wired the same way as mine. But if you and I can agree on the goal, and the goal is fairness and well-being, then we can make objective statements about what is and isn't contrary to that goal.
I understand that point, right? But that's not, you're grounding morality and moral impulses in just purely physical neurons and stuff like that. That's not stuff we agreed on. We didn't sit down and agree what should my brain chemistry be. That's just an objective brute fact. So if that's your stance, that morality comes from this just objective wiring of your brain, then it is objective.
No, still not objective. Objective means that we're independent of a mind, but ultimately it is our minds that come to the conclusion on what is and isn't moral through evidence, empathy, research, and investigation. These are how.
But you believe the mind is physical.
Hold on, JK, hold on. This is how we come to the conclusion of what is and isn't moral. Are our brains physical? Yes, but are these concepts just a part of our minds? Yeah, the concept of morality is just in our minds. By definition, that means that it is subjective. Unless you can demonstrate that outside of our minds these morals would still exist, then all we're left with is that morals are subjective. So JK, if all human beings, if all
earlier
humans
in this conversation, the host told me that only physical things exist, right? You're appealing to something non-physical now.
Go ahead, Johnny.
If all humans disappeared tomorrow, JK, would morality still exist?
Yeah.
Can you demonstrate it?
Yeah, because it's objectively the same way that a tree would exist. Right?
Prove it. Yeah.
Wait, but hold on. I just want to respond to what he said, because earlier you were saying that nothing exists that's not physical, but now you're giving these like existence of things that exist in the mind like they're not physical.
The mind is physical.
Okay, if the mind is physical, then that's objective, and that's it's these morals are mind independent. They're just brain dependent.
Again, subjective means stance dependent, mind dependent. If it's coming from the mind, that is what it means. If it's coming from a subject, I'm the subject. Therefore, the moral system is subjective. It's about the subject. The only way it could be objective is if like the moral system existed independent of whether or not any human mind or any mind whatsoever existed.
This only works if you believe that consciousness is a thing that is non-physical. If you're saying that I am a subject, I'm not just a collection of atoms.
No, I'm
right.
A
There's an
aboutness.
aboutness.
I'm a subject that is a collective of atoms. That's not. It's not an either or situation.
So is there a fact about the way your brain works that exists outside of your opinion?
Yes.
Okay, then if that fact of the way your brain works is what produces morality, then that is the game. That's the rules of the game of chess. Is whatever
the morality is seated in my mind, and what it means for something to be subjective.
Where is it?
Is that it's
Where is it?
In the mind.
Where?
All the whole mind, the firing of all the neurons.
Yeah, so all just physical stuff that objectively exists, whether you have a stance on it or not.
But again, as long as that moral thing is seated in the mind, it's subjective. That's what it means for something to be subjective.
Okay, so if morals are just seated in the mind, what sense does it make to point to
JK, we're not going to get around this.
If you got to move on, I understand.
Yeah, this is getting in circles.
Thanks for having me up.
All right.
I don't know how hard that is to understand that, like whether or not the brain, the mind is a physical thing or not, morals are still subjective, because subjective by definition means that it is dependent on a mind.
Yeah. Sorry guys, I completely forgot about the Philbro timer. Next time I will ask since it's going in a philosophical direction, I will ask if they want a philosophical direction, in which case I will bring up the Philbro rule book. Because that's exhausting. All right, real quick before we bring up Felix the Muslim, I'm going to read some super chats, starting with our good friend
at Contradeity with the $5. Can I ask you a question? Ooh, look at that. I can. Hell yeah. I'm just winning all day today.
You are always winning, Contradeity. 100%. Everyone make sure you go check out Contra Deity's channel. They're putting out lots of cool videos, and they're getting involved in the debate space and in the conversation on deconstruction. So make sure you follow them. Their name is the same on TikTok and YouTube.
And at Elvis Presley touched me with the 10 euros. What sacrifice? 6 hours on the cross. Many crucifixion victims took days to die. Romans went around breaking legs to speed it up. Give me a Messiah executed by scaphism, and I'll call it a sacrifice. Yeah.
That's one of my biggest things is that I don't think that Jesus really did take the punishment for our sins, if you think about it logically, because according to Christian theology, the punishment for our sins is eternal damnation, separation from God. Jesus did not receive eternal separation from God. Therefore, Jesus did not receive the punishment for our sins. It's like I deserve death row. The judge's son decided to take my place, but he only got 3 days in the jail. He didn't actually take like a whole life. He didn't get a whole life sentence. And not only that, Christian theology says that Jesus did not descend into the hell of the damned. He descended into the bosom of Abraham, which is the nice part of the afterlife. So it's more like the judge's son got this really nice suite in the prison for 3 days, and then like that's not taking my punishment whatsoever.
At Chip Payet with the $9.99. Someone said, "Oh my, you're lost."
Nope, I know exactly where I'm at, bud. Texas.
At Chip Payet with the $9.99. When someone provides a comprehensive moral framework covering all possible scenarios, not just one-off examples for everyone to discuss, then I'll consider the idea. Not until then, rock hard for a dog.
Yeah, I totally agree. Chip Payet. Yeah.
And praise Peggy.
Praise Peggy.
Yeah. At Nikkei with the $4.99. The world would be round even if people didn't know it. Did the guest think us believing it makes it round?
Yeah. No, so exactly. The world isn't round just because we believe it. It's round because it is objectively round in the real world. Oh boy. All right. And then one last super chat before we move on to Felix.
At Nikkei with the $4.99. Actually, the telltale heart protagonist is not sane or rational. He kills his victim because he is afraid of their cataracts. Like, he's insane.
That's a good point, because like I didn't even consider that. Like, this isn't really someone who is able to have like proper mental capacity. Like, the reason he feels the guilt is not because he feels wrong for having get away with it, but because he feels like the corpse is actually mocking him and is going to tell on him, and thus he is like thus he's going to get in trouble for what he did. I should have thought of that.
Also, hello, Nikki. How you doing?
Is it Nikki or Nikkei?
She told me it was Nikki.
Okay, then it's Nikki. My bad, Nikki. Hey, Nikki. Anyways, Felix the Muslim. I didn't want to finish it because is host wearing lipstick? Yes, your mom's lipstick, prodigal son. Anyways, Felix the Muslim. I'm going to ask you 3 preliminary questions, and then we'll get to the conversation. Question number 1: are you at least 18 years old?
Yes.
You so fine-tuned. That's so funny. Contra Deity. Question number 2: are you? What pronouns do you go by?
He, him.
And question number 3: I guess you're Muslim, so you're a theist.
Yes.
All right. Which one of the 6 questions on the board would you like to give me an answer for?
Hello, we just want to contact you regarding your car's extended warranty.
Oh, Felix.
Your
I
policy
remember
is set to
Felix.
expire next couple of weeks, and we just want to give you a chance to renew your auto policy. Can I have your social and security number, please?
What the fuck?
I was wondering why that name was familiar. He did the same thing to me. He did wants my car extended warranty.
Felix was in my box for like half an hour just to wait for that.
He did the same thing to me. I was wondering why that name was familiar. That's why, because he did the same thing to me the other day.
A W for the what's the word I'm looking for? Not consistency, but the patience. There you go. Yeah, I should have figured also I should have figured that they weren't actually Muslim, because Muslims wouldn't have a picture of Muhammad on their profile picture. That's supposed to be like blasphemous, I think. But even though they weren't actually Muslim, everyone, let's get some justice for Aisha stickers in the YouTube comment, and then some hashtag justice for Aisha in the TikTok comment. Hi, Ella. Good to see you, bud.
Hi, it's good to see you too. That was so funny. I've never heard somebody mimic the bad callers so well.
Yeah. Yeah, that was so good. Yeah, what were you here for my conversation on morals and our biology?
Yes, I was. I was hearing it, and yeah, I don't understand why he kept on insinuating that morals are not based in the mind. Without our minds, there would be no morals.
Did I accurately relay like
Yeah,
okay,
you did.
just making sure. I like to listen, guys. I can be wrong, which is why I have to ask the experts, because like, biology, evolution, not my forte, but I actually, it's really funny. When I was in the 5th grade, I wanted to be a paleontologist, and I actually thought that evolution. I loved evolution when I was in the 5th grade. I used to like read about it and stuff like that. And then you know what happened? I became religious.
Oh no! Oh,
So maybe the world was robbed of a paleontologist. I don't know, but
I wanted to be a paleontologist too. I'm not gonna even gonna lie.
now I have a reason. Why did you want to be a paleontologist? My answer is really stupid.
When I was a kid, I saw a fossil of a Dunkleosteus in the Natural History Museum, and it made me fall in love with prehistoric aquatic creatures.
Awesome. Armored plated fish.
Yeah, I was very proud of my spelling when I was 7 because I could spell it.
My reason why I wanted to be a paleontologist, I can sum up with 2 words: Ross Geller.
Oh my god!
Wait, what? What was it?
My family, I grew up watching Friends, even when I probably shouldn't have been watching it. I was watching it like from the 3rd grade. And I thought when I was a kid that Ross's job was cool. And I also liked that he was the smart one in the group. And I guess I always liked the idea of being the smart one in the group. So like I started like looking into like evolution and stuff like that. And I thought paleontology and dinosaurs were just really cool. So Ross Geller was the reason I wanted to be a paleontologist. And then I went the Jesus route. And then, I didn't get back into science until I was like out of high school. And the reason I got back into science was because even though I believed in young earth creationism, which is anti-scientific, I was never willing to go the full all the way into flat earthism. But I existed in a church group where we didn't have a pastor. Instead, we sat in a circle every Saturday on the Sabbath, and we would read from the Torah, and then we would read from the prophets, and then we would read from the New Testament, and we would do basically Bible study. And there were people in the group who kept proposing flat earth, and they were using biblical evidence for it. And like one night I'm laying in bed and the thought occurred to me. I remembered hearing my teacher tell me that light traveled at a certain speed. And so, if because the flat earthers were saying the stars were like in the firmament right above our head. So, and I knew that wasn't true because I knew the earth wasn't flat. So I Googled what is the farthest star we can see with the naked eye. And it turned out it was 16,000 light years away, which meant that it took 16,000 years for that light to reach Earth. So I was off by, at the very minimum, 10,000 years. And that's when I started actually I went and watched Cosmos with Neil deGrasse Tyson. And I was like, I finally understood evolution the way that it's actually the scientific way, and not just like the way that religious people like Ken Ham had told me to think about it.
I loved Cosmos as a kid. It came on when I was a child. I love that show. Neil deGrasse Tyson is awesome.
I unfortunately never got a chance to really live a really big childhood. I grew up on a 5-series Blue Planet movie documentary series on the ocean. At first, I wanted to be a marine biologist from ages 4 to 8. Then I wanted to be a paleontologist from 8 to 12. And then I wanted to be a forensic scientist, or I guess forensic pathologist specifically, from ages 12 to 17. Then I wanted to be a kinesiologist from ages 17 to 20, and now I'm here wanting to be a researcher just straight up.
Yeah, when I was 19, I wanted to be like a rabbi or like a pastor of some kind teaching the Bible. If 19-year-old Dalton could see what 30-year-old Dalton is getting up to, like, I'm living the dream. I'm doing what I wanted to do, but just not in the way that 19-year-old me would have appreciated. The irony of it. Real quick, I'm going to read some more super chats because we don't have any more guests right now. I might do a TikTok restart. Since we have 1 hour left in the show, I'll do a TikTok restart after I read these super chats, and then both of you are Ella and Johnny, more than welcome to come back as my on the panel if you want to. Oh, battery is empty. Well, luckily I'm plugged in, so that shouldn't have happened. 1 second. Check 1 2 3. Okay, good deal. All right. Let's see, and getting my
voice going. At Chris RPG with the $2. The majority consensus is morality is subjective. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, and just because of what's yeah, I don't have any. It's funny because when I noticed this a month ago, because I was on Justin's live when I noticed it, because every time Justin would ask these Christians for evidence for objective morals, each and every time without fail, they are always just talked about how much they don't like subjective morals. And I was like, holy shit, they're actually not making an argument for objective morals. They're just telling me that they don't like subjective morals. It would be like if someone were to ask Scientific Snitch, what's the evidence for evolution? And if all that Scientific Snitch talked about was like why she didn't like creationism, we would recognize what's happening. And yeah, so like, which by the way is actually the technique for younger creationists. Their evidence that creationism is true is that they don't like evolution. And then
At just Matt Das with the $2. Opinion on atomism when it comes to morality. Atomism?
Atomism, is atomism not that all things are made out of atoms? I don't know if that's even scientifically accurate to say that all things are made of atoms. Like, gravity isn't made up of atoms, but it is carried by a subatomic particle called a graviton. It's interesting. I don't know how, I don't quite know if atomism is quite accurate. What do you think, guys?
I would say that our ability to have morals is dependent on the atoms of our brain, but that's about as far as I would go with that.
Yeah.
Dalton, someone in the comments had a question for you. No more BS, please. They want to know if that at some point they can block a Philbro from your live show.
As long as they are not using slurs or spamming, we don't. The only person who retains the right to, the only one who maintains the right to block is me. But muting, the mods have the authority to mute, but only for people who are slurring and writing in all capital letters. Okay, you're good. You're good. No more bullshit. Yeah, just for anyone who is a mod out there who hasn't gotten the memo. Those are the rules. But yeah, my bad. My spamming by Eric. What I mean by spamming is they just write the same thing over and over and over and over again. You know, it's annoying. Anyways,
or if they're being creepy or something too. Like if they're being like that one guy was the other day, he was calling some woman in the comments his something very not good, and so I muted him.
Are they allowed to block the nudes and bio accounts? Wait, what? Like someone who is asking for nudes in their bio on TikTok?
like an NSFW bot type of thing.
I don't care about that. I mean, if you want to send someone nudes, you do it. I don't care. You don't have to send them nudes. But if someone is messaging,
they mean like the accounts that are coming up here is trying to scam basically with their fake news and stuff like that.
Oh, if you have good reason to think that there's an AI trying to scam people, you let me know, and I'll take care of it. I'm pretty good at. I get it all the time, guys. Like especially nowadays, more and more people are somehow finding me on social media, and it actually might be because of the websites I go to now that I think about it. But I get requests all the time from very beautiful women on Facebook, and the fact that they are immediately interested in me is all the reason I need to know that they're not real. Also, when they've created their profile picture that same day, it's also a huge red flag. Especially with AI image generation now, you can't do the thing you used to be able to do and say, send me a pic of you doing a certain thing to prove that you're real. You would have to make them video call you or something now at this point. I don't know if there's technology to fake that though. All right.
There is, it's just not very good yet.
Oh, well, fuck me.
Give it 5 years.
I'm just not gonna trust anyone. They want to steal your glasses, Dalton. Be careful. All right. They want to steal this ass, not these glass. Okay, anyways. Okay, so real quick, I'm gonna do a quick restart on TikTok. Ella, Johnny, you're more than welcome to come back. And then we'll hopefully get some opposition in here. So let's see. In live. And then go live. All right. And we're back. I'll wait for some people to get here on TikTok before I start reading some more super chats. Thank you so much, everyone. I mean, y'all did a lot of super chats today, and I'm super appreciative of that. You guys are helping me live the dream. Let's see. Hello, Johnny. Johnny,
what's up, buddy?
Johnny, be good. All right.
I live very close to Louisiana. I live in Mississippi, so.
All right.
From that Simeon Urchin with the $4.99. My childhood docu-series I fell in love with was Walking with Trilogy, Walking with Monsters, Walking with Dinosaurs, then Walking with Beasts.
Is that Walking with Dinosaurs? Is that the one that's on Apple? What's that dinosaur series that's on Apple? Because man alive, the graphics of the CGI for those dinosaurs on that show is amazing.
Are you talking about Prehistoric Planet?
Is that what it is? It's the one that's exclusive to Apple TV.
I think that's that one, yeah.
Yeah, but I watched it and I didn't watch it. I watched clips from it and I was like damn, like TV shows have better CGI now than like movies like Dinosaur did in 2000. Oh, speaking of 2000, guys, it was crazy. My sister is staying over, and she's doing a lot of cleaning around the property and stuff because she's like one of those people who's restless, so she like cleans for fun or whatever. And she found a newspaper that was pretty well intact from September 16th, 2001, only 5 days after 9/11. Sadly, the paper didn't have any articles in it. It was all like the comics, the funnies or whatever. So I was a little bit disappointed about that because I would have loved to see if they would have said anything about it. But it was the Dallas Morning newspaper, so I don't know if they would have said anything about it.
Dalton, do you like Jurassic Park, by the way?
Yeah, I haven't watched the newest Jurassic World movies other than the first one, but I loved watching Jurassic Park as a kid.
Do you want to hear a fun theory somebody came up with about it?
Real quick, Matt Doss did send me a message on Discord about their super chat with atomism. Sorry, was restrained by the super chat length. When I mentioned atomism, I mean the idea that because we are all made of atoms, then all of our actions and thoughts are already predetermined based on the physical atoms. Yeah. I believe I'm a hard determinist. That's my position. that we are physical objects and we are thus subject to like the laws of physics, and that any choice I make is going to be determined by some underlying cause. I don't think that there's any good like evidence of free will being a real thing. But hold that thought, Johnny, because we do have a guest and I don't want to lose them. Ezekiel. I'm going to ask you 3 preliminary questions, and then we'll get to the. Are they loading in or not? What the hell's going on?
I don't see them.
Oh,
I was about to ask if they're actually here.
They disappeared. All right. Go ahead and tell us what you were going to tell us, Johnny.
First, I do agree. I do agree with your assessment on determinism. I agree. I think that I don't think free will exists, and I think that at least to some capacity, our decisions are going to be determined by some kind of underlying, something. There's always going to be something that influences our actions to the point that we don't have free will. So there's a theory that the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park are bullshit. They're not really from blood found in mosquito. They're just genetically engineered creatures, and there was really no DNA found in the mosquito, and that this whole thing was just a tourist attraction, which is why they look exactly like how people would think they look, not how they would really look. It's just that the company created them with the intention of making money.
I'm pretty sure, though, they do address that in the new Jurassic World series.
They do.
Because I didn't watch the whole movie. I did see the beginning, though, of one of the Jurassic World movies where they show you dinosaurs in their actual time period prior to all of this taking place, and you get to see them accurately, like with feathers and all that kind of stuff, and the various ways that they really looked. The T-Rex has like lips and over it and stuff like that, for example. Right. And that in the movie, I think they explained it that the reason they don't look the way they used to look is because it's not, their genetics are not pure, is the explanation they gave.
Yeah, they're mixed with frog genes.
Yeah, which is funny as hell. They're missing their emo hairs at Contra Deity. Hell yeah. Who remembers Velociraptor from back in the day? That's a meme for the ages. Yeah. Oh man, bring memes back, y'all. Like classic memes. Anyways, everyone make sure you tap that screen. Share the live with those you love, with those you hate, with your friends and with your enemies. Let's get the word out there and have some interesting conversations. I'm Dalton, the Bible guy. And despite my name, I am an atheist. And the reason I'm called the Bible is because I think, from what I can tell, at least based on the available data, it looks like I know the Bible better than most Christians here on TikTok. I don't think Jesus was the Messiah. I don't think the Bible's true. I don't think he rose again from the dead, etc., etc. If you think you might have good answers and reasons for the answers of any of the propositions above my head, questions above my head, feel free to come up. I'd love to hear what you have to say. One of my highest upvoted posts on Reddit was a Velociraptor meme. That's funny. Does Dalton know his voice is the baby voice?
What? It's not?
It's not. I don't have the voice changer on right now.
I am surprised at just how small Velociraptors really were.
Oh yeah, they really were just a turkey, like turkey sized, like the kid said.
There was even a frog that ate them. There was a frog called Beelzebufo that was capable of eating them because it was bigger. It was bigger than it was bigger than the smaller ones. Like, I mean, it could only eat like the juveniles, but it was bigger than them.
That's crazy. Beelzebufo?
Yeah, Beelzebufo. It was it essentially kind of looked like a giant Pac-Man frog, based on the renditions they've done of it.
And named after Beelzebub. It's funny.
I believe so, yeah.
There's a dinosaur out there called Draco Hogwartsia.
Oh hell yeah. I'm not sure whether Beelzebufo actually ate Velociraptors or if it was just capable of doing so because of how, the fact that it was pretty large. But it's pretty cool that it was capable of doing so if it wanted to.
Contra Deity, is that dinosaur for I love you? I think that's what Aurora means, I love you in dinosaur. Now I remember we talking dinos today. I don't know for anyone for anyone who's a friend of the Elder Scrolls series. Fun fact, I don't have 100% confirmation on this, but I'm pretty sure that the deity, the Daedric deity, in Elder Scrolls called Molag Bal. Their name is intended to be a mixture of the real, the fictional god Molech versus the actual deity Baal or Baal. Molech Baal is Molag Bal. But for anyone who also doesn't know this, the god Molech, which is mentioned in the Bible, despite most of the gods mentioned in the Old Testament were real gods that were worshipped by people, but Molech is fictional. There was not a god named Molech that was worshipped by anyone in the ancient Near East. It's probably
And isn't it
a
named
typo.
after? And isn't it named after what it did?
It's in reality what happened was that there was a category of sacrifice called a Molech sacrifice, and this over time was mistaken for being not the name of a sacrifice but the name of a deity. And over time, especially when the establishment of the Tiberian vowel point system was understood to be Molech as opposed to just Molch. But Molch was just was just the name of a sacrifice, and you could offer a Molch to any deity, including to Yahweh.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, it might be based on the word for king, perhaps being Melech. That might be the Milcom is also is a close name to, yeah, Milcom was a real god. And in fact, there's a section in the Torah where they actually call a deity Molech, where it's actually a reference to Milcom.
What about angel? Isn't angel Malach?
Malach. So the king is Melech, and angel or messenger really is Malach. In fact,
Malach.
the way you say my messenger in Hebrew is Malachi, which
Malachi
is the name Malachi, and which is interesting because in the book of Malachi, if I pull it up on the screen, and I wonder whether or not there's anything to this, but Malachi chapter 3 begins 3 verse 1 begins with the statement, behold, I will send my messenger and he shall prepare the way before me. And the Hebrew is Hineni sholeach malachi u pana derech lapani. Behold, it could just as easily be read, behold, I send Malachi before my face, as a reference to the prophet themselves.
That's why Justin proposes that this person's name was most likely not Malachi. This was probably just their title,
a pseudonym. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah. That's always a possibility too. I like that, actually. Interestingly enough, while the author of Mark is attempting to quote from Malachi 3:1, it looks like they're actually mixing Malachi 3:1 with a passage from Exodus chapter 23, where God says, I will send my messenger ahead of you, and and you must obey his voice. If you look at the Greek Septuagint, the Greek of Exodus 23 matches more closely with what Mark says, as opposed to what it says in Malachi 3:1. Dan McClellan has a video on this.
Doesn't he attribute it to Isaiah?
Yeah, he wrongly attributes it to Isaiah. That's another problem. He quotes Malachi and then Isaiah and says it's all from Isaiah. So there's like a whole lot going on there. But Christians, why did the Hebrew nation invent the Exodus story specifically? It wasn't invented whole cloth. So the Israelites were just another group of Canaanites, like the Moabites, the Jebusites, the Israelites. They were all Canaanite groups. And just a few hundred years prior to the time of King David, so we're talking 1500 to 1200 BCE, David was around 1000 BCE. The Canaanites were ruled over by the Egyptians. All the kings in Canaan were vassal kings for the Egyptians. So there's a cultural memory by the Canaanites that at one point they were ruled over by the Egyptians. And over the centuries, as the Israelites make themselves a distinct people group, this cultural memory of being ruled over by Egyptians in Canaan becomes we were slaves to the Egyptians in Egypt slowly over time.
Ah, okay.
Satan told me about this on YouTube. Satan told you about this? Oh man, yeah. And then the story really became really like prevalent and really probably formulated during the Babylonian exile because it was meaningful to the Jewish people in exile because it's about the Jewish people being in a foreign land, oppressed, and God sends a redeemer to bring them back to the land, and that's what they were desiring while they're in the exile. So it's correct. They always were there and never ever even lived in Egypt at first. No, yeah, they were never in Egypt. You do know that it's only the minority MSS that includes the name Isaiah in Mark 1, right? Only includes the name in Mark 1, the minority? It depends. I mean, it might be the minority, but what do the earliest say? The majority texts, which were written later, might exclude the name of the prophet, but if we go back to the oldest ones, let me take a look at the actual manuscripts because I have Center for New Testament Research. If I go back to the oldest manuscripts from Mark 1, what do we see? This is verse 1, verse 2. The oldest manuscripts all have, I'll show the audience this. It looks like the oldest manuscripts all include the name. It says here, Eos graftai into Hezekiah to prophete. It seems like we don't get a one lacking until the 4th and 5th century CE. Why are you giving priority to a couple older manuscripts? Because the older ones would be like closer to the original. And if we have text later on that exclude it, it shows that the editors are just removing. That seems like obvious to me, at least. So nice you can do big screen stuff. So fancy. I know, it's so fancy. I'm so fancy. But yeah, I mean, listen, the oldest ones reflect. How do you know that? No, it's just the best inference. I don't have that, again, absolute knowledge, don't have, but like when the oldest manuscripts say one thing and the oldest manuscripts are closer to when the originals were written and we don't get like a different version of it until later, looks like some additions or subtractions were made.
Yeah, we see this all throughout the New Testament. There's additions and subtractions. It's just is what it is.
Yeah, like, I mean, John chapter 8 includes like a really noticeable one. Like the story of the adulterous woman didn't exist until the 5th century. So why should I think that it's original? Bro, I just started eating. Where did the scam bot come from? Where?
I didn't see one. I was looking. I didn't see one.
Yeah.
I don't see one anywhere. And they also did this in Mark chapter 1 when he attribute
Willie's Johnson. I'm blessing the first 5 people that message me. God did. Willie's Johnson, go fuck off. Go do this on your own channel, dude.
How come I can't see that?
Oh, I don't know, but I can see it up there. Willie's Johnson.
Somebody might have already muted them.
Those 2 manuscripts. It's not 2. There's like 3 of them here. I got like 3 of them here, and then there's one that's missing, and then there's a 4th one after that has it, and then I don't know what to tell you. I got more than 2 that have the name Isaiah in it. Witness I14022277, manuscript 1 and 3 also included, as does manuscript 5. Live restricted for what? Because I told the scam bot to fuck off. That TikTok, you're just telling me you want scam bots to scam my people. What the hell is that about?
We see this in Mark chapter 1-2 when he falsely attributes Malachi 3:1 to Isaiah. That later manuscripts changed this to the prophets because they realized there was a mistake there. So they just said instead of the prophet Isaiah, it's just the prophets because they realized it was two prophets.
Yeah. Oracle does love their scams. What's Oracle, Divine? When in Mark 1, God restricted the prophets live? What? When in Mark 1, God restricted the prophets' live. Those were certainly words. And in an order, this happened in Mark 2. What happened in Mark 2?
I see what he's saying. So I said, and we see this in Mark 1 as well. But he thought I was like, because you had just said like, oh, they want that, the person was scamming, and he's like, oh, so where did this, oh no, sorry, it was that TikTok restricted your live, and he's like, well, where in Mark did they do that too? Because I said, oh, and we also see this in Mark 2, but I was referring to the fact that they're additions and subtractions.
David says, do you feel opposed to any of the 7 virtues? Well, hey, come on up, bud, and we'll talk about the 7 virtues. You can name each one, and if I don't have a problem with it, we'll just move on. If I find one that I have a problem with, we'll talk about that one, 5,700 manuscripts do not say Isaiah, but you want to highlight less than 10 that had the error. I mean, yeah, once an edit is made, then of course, like, the edit gets copied. Number of manuscripts that come later doesn't matter, bud. Like, we probably have more manuscripts that have the adultery pericope, the pericope adulterae, than lack it, but that doesn't mean that it's authentic. It just means that once something gets like into circulation, it gets copied a lot. Those are not even from the same region. So what? Okay, Shadow Slays, what's up, bud?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. I noticed you didn't have any opposition. I wanted to ask a few questions if you have time.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, great. I was noticing in 2 Kings 13:21, talking about Elisha, it says, as soon as the man touched the bones of Elisha, he came to life and stood on his feet. So, did Elisha come back to life?
No, the man whose body was thrown on there. They threw the dead body onto the bones,
so
and say what?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. I see. The man in the marauding band was buried, he was thrown into the grave, and then he's the one who came back to life. That's interesting. So that's like an Old Testament resurrection.
Yeah. There are plenty of there's Old Testament resurrections. Elijah performs a resurrection on a dead boy at one point in one of the stories. There was, and some people are suspicious of maybe the idea that Jonah died in the belly of the whale and that God brought him back from the life because of Jonah describes when he's in the belly of the whale, he talks about how he's in Sheol. And then afterwards, God says to him, rise up, and the verb being used there is the same as for resurrection.
Yeah, gotcha. I'm also I never really drew the conclusion or came to the realization that John the Baptist, they're trying to say that he is the reincarnation of Elijah. And
not reincarnation, not
the one coming out of the wilderness.
Not necessarily reincarnation, but rather that according to the Hebrew Bible, Elijah never died. And they thought that perhaps this strange man was Elijah himself, like he had returned from heaven, not reincarnated, just came down.
Oh, okay. And then he's the one, he's the messenger in the wilderness. I don't know. It's a common trope to have like this kind of stranger in the wilderness declaring God. And so I'm kind of going through the Bible, noticing that a lot. I'm also doing a deep dive on Melchizedek as well. But okay, you kind of cleared up a few different things for me, so I'll have some more questions later. But have a great life. Thanks. Later.
You too.
Bye, Shadow. Dalton, have you ever read N.T. Wright's The Resurrection of the Son of Man?
No.
Me neither. I'm going to get it so I can poke all the holes in it.
That sounds like a good plan, bud. I plan on eventually, maybe one day. I think it would be fun to like do a reading of Lee Strobel's book for my audience, where we read through the Case for Christ, and then I talk about all the problems with Lee Strobel's position. The problem is like the book is copyrighted. How do I read it? I might just be that I give everyone else homework if they want to read the book, and then when each chapter, when they've read it after the end of the week, we'll talk about it on the live of that week, like on a Sunday or something like that. We'll probably make it a Sunday special. Like one Sunday, I'll tell you guys go and read chapter 1 of the book. I'll also do it that week, and then at the end of the week, we'll talk about the problems with each particular chapter of the Case for Christ. But don't worry if you don't want to like read it, or you don't want to listen to the audiobook because you don't want to give them money. I 100% understand. I will be giving you enough information to know what it is that we're talking about. This is just if you want to participate in reading the book, y'all.
Yeah, I have already kind of looked over like some of the reviews of The Resurrection of the Son of Man by N.T. Wright. Apparently it's filled with a lot of bias. Who would have guessed? So much so that even other scholars, or a lot of other scholars are saying they don't agree with it. So like, yeah. But a Christian gave me, in fact, Wesley Common in the comments actually gave me that as homework. So I'm gonna go look at it and I'm gonna poke all the holes in it. I'm gonna write a document on it explaining why it's wrong.
I have plans eventually, everyone. I have plans to write 2 papers. I'm going to write a paper on explaining my theory of the understanding of the post-mortem appearances of Jesus, with 1 Corinthians 15 in mind. And then eventually writing a systematic review of the claims from the Gospels about Jesus' divinity, and maybe even some of the Pauline literature, and why these do not teach or preach the concept of the Trinity, and how the Trinity is a post-biblical philosophical innovation. So those are the 2 papers that I will eventually get around to writing. But I have a super chat here, and then we might just have to wrap up because no opposition wants to come and debate, ask any of the 7 questions. So,
at Rod Card for Doug with the $10. Awesome info, Dalton. What's the resource you had showing that different variations of the Mark manuscripts keep spreading the real truth? Oh.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So the source I use is called the Center for New Testament Restoration. And so go to GreekCNTR.org. You can look up any of the books of the New Testament, and then you can like look at the different manuscripts. Speaking of which, it looks like someone, because they found out I was about to leave, wants to finally come up. Wesley, I'm going to ask you the same preliminary questions I ask everyone. Are you at least 18? What pronouns do you go by? And are you a Christian?
Yes, I'm over 18. Is my microphone okay? This is a new microphone. It sounds weird to me.
I can hear it.
Yes.
Man, sorry. Hold on just a second.
It is a little quiet, but I can hear it. I mean, it's not like I can't hear it.
Let me change up real quick. I'm over 18. I'm a he, I'm a guy, I'm he, him, and I'm a Christian. Hold on just a second. Let me see if I can fix it.
I've spoken to Wesley before. He's pretty cool. He's all right. I have nothing against him really. So.
And
we had a good conversation, I think. Is that any better? Is that same pretty much?
Yeah, it sounds fine to me. Which one of the 7 topics on the board did you want to give us an answer for?
I mean, we could talk about any of them, I guess. I was just listening, and I know you were kind of like asking for Christians to come up, so I was like, I'll come up and have a conversation with you about whatever. We can do that. Is Jesus the Messiah? That's fine.
All right. I'm guessing the answer for you is yes, Jesus is the Messiah. So my follow-up question would be, why should I think he is the Messiah?
I think that the resurrection is the proof of his claims, right? So I start there. I start with the resurrection. That's why I had recommended that book to Johnny.
So maybe we should. Maybe this is actually about number 3 then. Did Jesus rise from the dead? And I would say, why should I think that Jesus rose from the dead?
So yeah, I think that book that they're talking about in the chat here, N.T. Wright, Resurrection of the Son of God, that's going to be a much more in-depth work than the Lee Strobel you were talking about. I think Lee Strobel is a little bit kind of for laymen, but you're far advanced from that. So I would read N.T. Wright. He spends like one of his main interesting points or kind of innovations that he brings to the table in this topic is the idea of the mutation of thought of what they were claiming. So that's a little weird to say. So he uses inference to the best explanation. That is his idea. He's an Anglican, and he's a theologian, but he's also a historian who's done, written historical papers and things. So he says it's inference to the best explanation. So we have some data points from history, some factual data points, and he just asks, what's the best explanation for the data? And the best explanation for the data is that they actually saw something. They actually saw this happening here.
Well, I think the only person who really saw anything may have been Paul and Peter, and I'm not quite convinced that anyone else saw anything. But let's start listing off some of this data, and we can talk about it one by one.
Well, the interesting thing that you may not, if you haven't read Wright, I'll bring that up because I think you'll find that the most interesting, because everything else you probably have heard before. So to keep it kind of new for you. His point is about the mutation of ideas. That is, when you dig into what the Jews believed about resurrection and what they believed was going to happen at resurrection, he shows that what the early claims were about Jesus, not just from Peter and Paul, but from the early church, the early church creed that you get in 1 Corinthians 15. I don't know how you feel about that, but an early church creed there, a bodily resurrection in the middle of history, not a visionary resurrection, not a not some of the other resurrection claims that were around at the time. That this was a brand new innovation for them that cropped up in the middle of a very closed community that had very specific ideas about what the resurrection was.
What's his source on what he thinks Jewish people thought about the resurrection? Because the Jewish people were not a monolith, and
that's a great question. He spends 600 pages talking about what Jewish thought on the resurrection. That's his main topic. That book is 800 pages, and 600 pages of it is researching what the Jews taught about resurrection, the ideas they had. There were a main couple ideas, but there are threads of different things that they believed at the time. And while they weren't a monolith, the Pharisees and the Jewish leaders really only had a couple options. The Pharisees and the Sadducees, of course, one that did not believe in any resurrection, and then one that believed in resurrection. And out of those that did believe in a resurrection, it was very clear a general end of the world resurrection, as you see in Daniel, right?
Mm-hmm.
That those that sleep in the dust shall rise, and it's an end of the world thing that happens to everyone all at once.
Would you recognize, though, that the necessity breeds innovation? So, for example, if Peter, being the first person that sees a Jesus after his death, he's got two options for his seeing of Jesus. He can either believe that this is a spirit, in which case God did abandon Jesus to death, or cognitive dissonance hits in, and he can think Jesus is raised from the dead and God has vindicated him.
Right, but so why would you say that he would not want to believe that it was a spirit? Because that was a more common interpretation of sightings.
Because
after death sightings.
Because it would mean that God had abandoned Jesus to death, and one is a much more something that's much more desired as far as an ending.
No, I don't. I mean, if he had seen, I mean, he could have very easily said that he saw a glorified Jesus, just like Stephen saw later on a visionary
Yeah.
Daniel 7 style Messiah.
Yeah,
So
just
why would he just not say the same thing that why would he not echo Daniel 7? That's the question.
well, so what Stephen saw was the resurrected Jesus too.
But he didn't see Stephen did not see a bodily Jesus. He saw a vision of Jesus at the right hand of God in heaven, which was a Daniel
Yeah,
7
we don't
quote,
know.
right? So why didn't
We
Peter
don't know
say
what
that?
we don't know what Peter saw. It could have just as well been a visionary experience where Jesus appeared to him, and he interpreted this as Jesus has been raised from the dead, because that's better than just God abandoned Jesus to death.
No, there's no abandoning Jesus to death if he is glorified in heaven at the right hand of the Father.
But God never.
That was the idea,
One
right? That was
results
what
in
was
one results in Jesus being vindicated by God, and one is God does not vindicate Jesus.
well, how is that not vindicated by God to be the Son of Man standing at the right hand in power? How is that not God's vindication?
Well, he's just dead now.
Yeah, he's just
No, he's
dead.
not dead. He's in heaven. He's glorified
But
in
he's
heaven.
dead.
No. He's not dead.
He is.
Like
If he's
people
not,
that are in heaven. In Jewish thought, people that are in heaven are not dead.
no, they are dead. They would refer to them as, like, if you Samuel, talking to Samuel is wrong because why?
Okay, I see what you mean. That's not what I'm
Speaking to
getting
the
at.
dead
though.
is
What I'm
sinful.
right. What I'm
Spirits are
saying
dead.
is right. That's I guess okay. So that's not what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is it would not have been God left him for dead if he saw him as the Old Testament, as the book of Daniel shows that
Well,
messianic figure.
we don't know what Jesus was like when he appeared to Paul. We don't know if Paul would have just seen, like, oh, sorry, not Paul, Peter. We don't know what Jesus would have. We don't know that Peter necessarily would have seen like a glorified looking Jesus, or just the corpse of like Jesus as he was, but with like the wounds of his crucifixion. We don't know.
Well,
1 Corinthians 15 doesn't tell us.
Yeah, it does. The whole chapter tells you exactly what the body was like. Not those first three
That's
verses, but the entire chapter tells us what the body was.
that the body is like made of spirit material. It's not no longer made of physical material.
No, there's a terrestrial and there's a celestial, and he goes exactly into what it was. It's an actual physical body, but it's a celestial physical body.
Well, it depends on what you mean by that.
Yeah.
Depends on what that you mean by that, because like ancient peoples would have thought of like spirits as having like form and being made of finer material, as opposed to like the like human bodies, which are made of coarser material. So they're both material, and there's nothing intangible or immaterial about spirits in the minds of ancient people, at least of ancient Jews. There's no idea that spirit means non-material. So like Jesus' body was made of material. It's just a spirit material, not like what we call earthly material.
Yeah, before you say that, I would highly recommend you look into that treatment, because that's not how Paul describes it in 1 Corinthians 15. He actually describes a third state of being, and this is exactly my point. He describes a third state of being that Jesus was in, that was not that they didn't have a category for before Jesus Christ.
He says he's a life-giving spirit now.
That's not all that he says. I mean, Paul goes into great detail describing the resurrection of Jesus Christ.
He uses the analogy of, like, for example, a seed which is planted in the earth, and then like the plant springs up for it, and he describes like Jesus in the same way. Jesus's body is laid down, and then the thing that's raised up is not the same as the thing that's laid down, and that it's just a very glorious spirit body.
Exactly. It comes out of the ground.
That's Paul,
which is not a visionary.
That's Paul describing. That's Paul describing his theology. That doesn't tell us what Peter would have seen.
It's Paul describing. It's Paul giving theology to what was going around in the early church. That's the point.
His theology. We don't know that Peter would have held the same belief about the resurrection or anything like that. This is Paul giving his theology to his audience. We don't know what Peter saw when he saw the post-mortem appearance of Jesus.
Right. What I'm saying is Paul describes the appearances in 1 Corinthians 15, 1 through 4. And then he gives the theology on what it means in the rest of the chapter.
Yeah.
And the theology on what it means can only match the description of the appearances of the supposed witnesses from the first 4 verses.
Well,
that's the point. Like you have to look at the data and say, why are they coming up with this theology?
So Paul tells us that Jesus, quote, appeared to people, and the semantic range on that word is to be noted. But let's just talk about Peter. He appears to Peter. We don't get Peter's testimony about what he believed about the resurrection, but Paul gives us his theology on what the resurrection body entails. That's it.
Right. Based on the experiences. If his theology did not match what the witnesses were saying, then it's nonsense.
How do we know that Paul's deriving his resurrection theology based on what Peter told him about Jesus's body? This is just speculation.
It comes directly after the witness account. I mean,
so what?
It's literally follows verses after the witness account.
So what? This is just Paul telling us that Jesus appeared to these people, and then he gives his theology on what the resurrection is like. But that doesn't mean that he's recounting for his audience that, and I learned this from Peter, that this is what the resurrection body is like.
No. See, I don't. I'm not doing a good job explaining it, obviously. I would highly recommend you read the book. I told Johnny I will send you an Amazon gift card if you want to buy it. I'll pay for it for you to look. It's especially if you haven't seen this argument before. I think you'll be very intrigued by it. The bottom line is he built his theology based on the creed that was there before he got there. So he's not building a new theology. Like, in other words, he's not building a theology about bodily resurrection. If all of the early claims were that they were visionary resurrections,
the creed doesn't give us any information about what Jesus's body was like post-mortem. The creed only says that Jesus appeared to people, and that those people were first Peter, and then the 12, and then James, I believe. Oh no, then the 500, then James, and then some other apostles, and then last of all to Paul. And of course, you do acknowledge the semantic range of like ophthe, that it can mean, it can refer to like visual sight, but also just even just inward perception. Like if someone has, if the 500, for example, were sitting in a room together praying and fasting, and they feel a sense of presence, and they attribute that to Jesus, that's fully sufficient for Paul's statement that he appeared to 500 brothers and sisters all at once.
Yes, but that would not be sufficient to explain why he comes up with a theology that he does.
His theology could have been secondary, something that he came up with, or that he's basing on his previous experience and his own particular strain of Judaism, which would be some sort of Hellenistic Pharisaism, where he's deriving an understanding about the nature of the resurrection. But it doesn't mean that he's getting his theology from what the apostles told him about what Jesus looked like.
Right. What you're saying is a non sequitur. It would not follow for Paul to give a theology that was in opposition to the creed that he just quoted, to the witnesses
it's not an opposition.
That he just quoted.
It's not an opposition because the creed doesn't give you any information about Jesus's body and what it's like.
Right. What I'm saying is Paul is explaining why it was a bodily resurrection. He's explaining why.
Well, he's just explaining what the resurrected body is like. But like the creed doesn't get it's not an explanation of anything in the creed. Like the creed doesn't tell you anything about Jesus's resurrected body. So whatever Paul's theology would have been, even if it's different than what we have now, wouldn't have been in opposition to the creed.
Yes, it would have if the witnesses were claiming to have seen a vision only, and not to have physical.
Well, that's the thing. We don't. The creed doesn't say anything about physical appearances of Jesus.
Right. No, I get you. I get you. What I'm saying is, if the if the witness testimonies that were going around surrounding that time were only visionary witness testimonies, that is, if Peter was saying, I saw a vision, if James was saying, I saw a vision, if the other people that he claims saw something were saying, like, we saw visions, it would not follow that Paul then goes on to explain bodily resurrection. That there was no precedent for that in the witnesses, if that's the case, and there is no precedent for that in Jewish thought.
Paul is
That would be a new
obviously
innovation. That would be a non sequitur.
no. Paul is obviously answering like a request of his audience. They want to know what the resurrected body is like, and he's just giving his theology on it. We don't have any real good reason to think that what Peter experienced was a physical Jesus standing in the room with him. As far as we know, it could have just been a visionary experience that Peter experienced. All the other ones are visionary. Stephen's is visionary. Paul's is visionary. Even if you take Acts, like, you know, Peter's other experiences with the postmortem Jesus, like on the rooftop, is like visionary. So like, who's to say that if you went back into the true history of what actually occurred after Jesus' death, that it's not just the apostles having visions and senses of presence of a spirit of Jesus, as opposed to him in the room with them?
No, I get your pushback, and it's a reasonable pushback. I mean, I get it. What I'm saying is, you would have to account for why Paul changes the Jewish thought on what the resurrection was to what he describes in theology. Why did Paul come up with that?
I'm not convinced that he's changing anything necessarily. He's not making the claim that Peter and them were standing in the room with the physical Jesus who was on earth.
Why is he describing it? Why is he describing it as bodily? That's what I'm asking.
Because his audience wants to know what the resurrection is like.
Why wouldn't he said it's vision? Why would he said it's spiritual?
He does say it's spiritual. He describes the body of Jesus as being a spirit body. It's made of spirit.
Right. It's a body and spirit. Right.
It is a spirit body. The body is made of spirit. It is pneumatic.
Right. He says it comes out of the ground. It's a physical resurrection.
No, the thing that's laid down is not the thing that comes up. Like when you plant a seed into the ground, is it the seed that comes up or the thing that was in the seed?
Right, but it's a transformed version of that. It's still
whatever.
It's not the same. It's not the same that goes into the ground.
Transformation of the spirit.
It's not spirit only. What I'm saying is they had a category for spiritual visions and for spiritual life after death. What Paul describes does not fit that category. That's the whole point of the argument.
He never describes the body of Jesus post resurrection as being made of flesh and blood. Not once.
Okay.
The only description he gives is that Christ is now a life-giving spirit.
Right. Well, let me do this. Let me get my act together and come back to you with a little bit more on this, because I was just listening, just sitting here listening to y'all and jumped up here just to give you this. And
that's probably it's probably the perfect timing, because it's like we got 2 minutes left before the show, and so that's actually a perfect timing.
Yeah. Take a look at, like I said, I enjoyed this. I'm happy.
I enjoyed this conversation though, because this is my favorite topic to talk about.
What I'll do is I'll get a little better prepared. I'll come back and talk to you. But if you want to check that book out, like I said, I'm happy to send you an Amazon gift card for it. It's a great work, and if you haven't read it, I'd highly recommend it.
I'll let my boy here check it out first, and then he'll give me his opinion, and then I'll read it afterwards. Because like I've got a lot reading right now that I'm having to do. I'm very busy with my reading. I still haven't even.
I can probably find a free copy online somewhere.
I still haven't even finished reading the book I'm reading right now. Is a problem. But I do appreciate that sentiment, Wesley. So I'll let Johnny tell me what he thinks, and then I'll get around to reading it, maybe if I have the time for it. If not, I can just give Johnny to give me the highlight point. I'll ask him questions, and he'll find me the answers from the book.
Good talking to y'all. Thanks for having me up. I appreciate it. Let's have a good conversation.
Bye, Wesley.
Bye, Wesley. Bye. All right, I'm going to read some super chats. I got 2 super chats, and then I'll find someone to send you guys off to. Ashlyn just sent me a screenshot. she's watching right now. And it's just a screenshot of my face, and she said, quote, "What that mouth do?"
Hi, Ashlyn. How you doing? I hope you're doing well.
All right. Okay, real quick. I'm gonna see who's live right now before I start reading these super chats, so I can give people time to go and find them after the show's over. It looks like, is Godless Engineer live right now? Let's take a look.
He was, yeah.
He's still live right now. So I'll probably send you guys over to Godless Engineer. Tell him Bible Guy sent you. But real quick, we're gonna read these super chats.
In my Ashlyn voice, because he's watching. I had Simeon Urchin with the $4.99. I can do snooping around for a free PDF of Lee's book to pass around for legal reasons. This will all be in Minecraft, of course.
There you go, bud. You know, it's so funny. And then Ashlyn says hi, Johnny, and also Snitch not here. I was about to say, why didn't she say hi to Snitch, because she loves Snitch, but Snitch just got not here. Okay, she snuck out when I wasn't looking. Thank you for coming up, Ella, much appreciated. I'm watching on the TV and your lips are super red. I know they're red. I don't know what to tell you guys. This is just who I am. My lips are just red.
Using the filter?
This let me see. If I take the filter off, let me show you what my lips actually look like. Let me see. What do that mouth do? That's a good question. If anyone wants to know, just message me. Okay, this is what it looks like. Filter off.
A lot better. Like, it's not as red.
I'm pale as hell though, is the problem. It's
me
like,
too.
It's bringing color into my face. That's what it is, and because it brings in color in my face, I'm turning it on and off. You can see. Hopefully, no one with this is not affecting anyone with the green screen. Not affecting anyone with epilepsy. My bad. Paleontology. Okay.
What?
Contra.
Well, I can't even really tell that they're red. Like, even with the filter on, they don't look that red to me.
They look luscious. Okay. Anyway.
At Fern Lovebond with the $2 can't support your claim. Just make more claims. That is the Christian way.
Anyways. Okay. So everyone go over to Godless Engineer. Tell him that the Bible guys, and don't say sorry. Contra, you never need to say sorry. Anyways, everyone go to Godless Engineer, tell him the Bible guy sent you. And with that, I will be live again Thursday at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. And until then, I've been the Bible guy. Remember to keep reading, keep learning, and we'll see you all again in 2 days. Bye.
Bye, Dalton. You have a good day, all right?
See you,
buddy.
Born from dust and questioning fire, wielding truth like a sword of desire. Ancient scrolls and cosmic flame, he tears through myth, he breaks the chain. Echoes of prophets, the stars align, knowledge and thunder intertwine. Reason ascends where blind faith fell. He reads the word and he reads it well. The Bible guy, seeker of the light. Through time and fire he rides the night, with reason's blade and wisdom's cry. The world shall hear the Bible guy. Scrolls of ages, words aflame. He dares to question every name. From Eden's dawn to Calvary's sky, he breaks the chains of every lie. Logos, Logos, the word shines with praises always light. Through mist and fade, through earth and sky, forever I write the Bible.